Over the last 5 years or so, I have scaled back on my lecturing and traveling and have now become a farmer of sorts. I spend most of my time in my beautiful garden, which is filled with plants and flowers, fruits, vegetables, and trees of all kinds. And I get enormous pleasure from getting down on my hands and knees and digging around in the soil. I bless the soil with love, and it produces for me abundantly. I believe in organic gardening, so not a single leaf ever leaves my property. Everything goes into the compost pile, and I am gradually building my soil so that it is rich and nourishing. I also eat from my garden as much as possible, enjoying fresh fruits and vegetables all year round. I'm mentioning my gardening activities here as an introduction to some of the material that I will be presenting in this tape. You see, your thoughts are like the seeds you plant in your garden. Your beliefs are like the soil in which you plant these seeds. Rich, fertile soil produces strong, healthy plants. Even good seeds struggle to grow in poor soil that is full of weeds and stones. Gardeners know that when planting a new garden or revamping an old one, the most important thing to do is to prepare the soil. Rocks, debris, weeds, and old worn-out plants need to be removed first. Then, if you are a serious gardener, you will double dig down to the depths of 2 shovels, again removing roots and rocks. And then you add as much organic matter as possible. I'm partial to organic compost, horse manure, and fish meal. 3 or 4 inches of these soil amendments and compost are put on top and then dug into the soil and mixed well. Now there is something worth planting in. Anything planted in this soil will shoot up and grow into a strong, healthy plant. So it is with the soil of our minds, our basic beliefs. If we want new positive affirmations, that is, the thoughts we think and the words we speak, to become true for us as soon as possible, then we will take the extra effort to prepare our minds to be receptive to these new ideas. We can make lists of all the things we believe. For example, what I believe about work, prosperity, relationships, health, etc. And we can examine these beliefs for negativity. You could ask yourself, do I want to continue to base my life on these limiting concepts? Then you can double dig to eliminate the old ideas that will never support your new life. When as many of the old negative beliefs are eliminated as possible, then add a large dose of love and work it into the soil of your mind. Now when you plant new affirmations into your mind, they will sprout amazingly fast, and your life will change for the better so quickly that you will wonder what happened. You see, it is always worth the extra effort to prepare the soil, whether it is in your garden or in your mind. In this tape, each chapter ends with some positive affirmations that pertain to the ideas we have gone over. Select some of those that have meaning for you and repeat them often. In the treatment at the end of each chapter is a flow of positive ideas to help you change your consciousness into a life-affirming belief system. Notice that all treatments and affirmations are done in the first person, in the present tense. We never say I will or if or when or as, because these are delaying statements. Whenever we do a treatment or an affirmation, it is always I have, I am, I always, or I accept. These are immediate acceptance statements, and the universe will take care of it now. Please remember that some of the ideas you will hear will be more meaningful to you than others. As you listen to the tape over and over, your negative beliefs will begin to fade. And the next thing you know, you'll realize that you're growing from a seedling to a tall, beautiful tree that has its roots firmly planted in the ground. In other words, you'll be flourishing in that complex, magnificent, mysterious, incomparable thing called life. People often look at me at lectures and think, oh, she has it all together. She's never had a problem in her life, and she knows all the answers. This is far from the truth. I personally do not know of any good teachers who have not been through many dark nights of the soul. Most of them have come from some incredibly difficult childhoods. It is through the healing of their own pain that they learn how to help others heal their lives. In my own case, I know that my life was absolutely wonderful, as far as I can remember, until I was 18 months old. Then everything hit the fan for me, especially from my point of view. My parents suddenly divorced. My mother was an uneducated woman and went to work as a domestic. I was placed in a series of foster homes. My whole world collapsed. There was nothing I could count on and no one to hold me and love me. Finally, my mother was able to get a domestic job where she could have me live with her, but by then the damage was done. When I was 5 years old, my mother remarried. Years later, she told me that she married so I would have a home. Unfortunately, she married an abusive man, and life became hell for both of us. It was during this same year that I was raped by a neighbor. When this act was discovered, I was told that it was my fault and that I had embarrassed the family. There was a court case, and I still remember the trauma of the medical examination and being forced to testify. The rapist was given a 16-year sentence. I lived in fear of his release because I believed he would come and get me for being such a bad girl as to put him in jail. I also grew up in the Depression, and we had almost no money at all. There was a neighbor who used to give me 10 cents a week, and this money went into the household budget. In those days, you could buy a loaf of bread or a box of oatmeal for 10 cents. And on my birthday and Christmas, she would give me the enormous sum of $1, and my mother would go to Woolworth's and buy my underwear and socks for the year. My clothes came from the Goodwill, and I had to go to school in clothes that did not fit me. My childhood was one of physical abuse, hard labor, poverty, and ridicule at school. I was made to eat raw garlic every day so I would not get worms. I did not get worms, but I did not get any friends either. I was the girl who smelled and dressed funny. I now understand that my mother could not protect me then because she could not protect herself. She had also been raised to believe that women accepted whatever men dished out. It took me a long time to realize that this way of thinking did not need to be the truth for me. As a child, I repeatedly heard that I was stupid, worthless, and ugly, somebody else's no-good brat that had to be fed. How could I possibly feel good about myself when I was constantly being bombarded with negative affirmations? At school, I used to stand in the corner and watch the other kids play. I did not feel wanted or needed at home or at school. When I entered my early teens, my stepfather decided that he would not beat me so much. Instead, he would start going to bed with me. And this began a new cycle of horror that lasted until I left home when I was just 15. At that point, I was so starved for love and had such low self-esteem that if some young man put his arms around me, I would go to bed with him. I had no self-worth, so how could I have morals? When I had just turned sweet 16, I had a baby girl. I only knew her for 5 days until I handed her over to her new parents. Looking back at that experience, I now realize that the baby needed to find her way to those particular parents, and I was the vehicle to get her there. With my lack of self-esteem and my negative beliefs about myself, I needed the experience of shame. It all fit together. What we learn as children affects who we will become. We talk a lot about teenage pregnancy these days and how terrible it is. The point that seems to be missed is that no young girl with self-esteem and self-worth would get pregnant in the first place. If you have been raised to believe that you're a piece of trash, then sexual diseases and pregnancy are the logical outcomes. Our children are the most precious of beings, and it is deplorable the way many are treated. At the moment, the largest growing segment of homeless people in this country are mothers with children. It is shameful that mothers sleep on the streets and wheel their possessions around in shopping carts. Little children are literally growing up in the streets. Our children are the future leaders. What kind of values will these homeless children have? How can they have respect for others when we care so little for them? From the moment we are old enough to sit in front of a television set, we are bombarded with sales pitches for products that are often detrimental to our health and well-being. For example, in 1/2 hour of watching children's television, I saw ads for sugar drinks, sugar cereals, cakes and cookies, and lots of toys. Sugar intensifies negative emotions, and it is why little children often shriek and scream. These ads may be good for the manufacturers, but they're not good for the children. These ads also contribute to our sense of dissatisfaction and greed. We grow up thinking that greed is normal and natural. Parents talk about the terrible twos and how difficult a period it is. What many people don't realize is that this is the time when the child begins expressing in words the emotions the parents are repressing. Sugar amplifies these repressed feelings. The behavior of small children always mirrors the emotions and feelings of the adults around them. It is the same thing with teenagers and their rebellion. The repressed emotions of the parents have become a burden to the child, and the child outwardly expresses these feelings through rebellion. The parents are looking at their own stuff. We have allowed our children to sit for hundreds of hours watching violence and crime on TV. Then we wonder why we have so much violence and crime in our schools and among our own young people. We blame the criminal and take no responsibility for our part in contributing to this situation. It's no surprise that we have guns in schools. We see guns on TV all the time. What kids see, they want. Television teaches us to want things. Much of what we see on television also teaches us to disrespect women and the elderly. Television teaches us very little that is positive, and this is such a shame because television has the opportunity to contribute to the upliftment of humanity. Television has helped make us into the society we are living in now, one that is often sick and dysfunctional. Focusing on negativity only causes more negativity. That is why there is so much of it in our world these days. The media, television, radio, newspapers, movies, magazines, and books all contribute to this focus, especially when they portray violence, crime, and abuse. If the media were to focus on only positive things, after a period of time, crime would dramatically lessen. If we think only positive thoughts, in time our world becomes positive. We can do things to help. There are ways in which we can help heal our society. I believe that it is essential that we totally stop child abuse at once. Abused children have such low self-esteem that they often grow up to be abusers and criminals. Our prisons are filled with people who were abused as children. And then we self-righteously continue to punish and abuse them as adults. We cannot build enough jails or enact enough laws and take enough action against crime when the focus is solely on the crime and the criminal. I believe our prison system needs a total overhaul. Abuse never rehabilitates anyone. Everyone in prison needs group therapy, both the guards and the inmates. Therapy would be good for the wardens, too. When everyone in the prison system develops self-esteem, society will have gone a long way to becoming healthy. Yes, I agree there are some criminals who are beyond rehabilitation and must stay confined. But in most cases, people serve a period of time, and then they are released back into the mainstream. All they have really learned in prison is how to be better criminals. If we could heal their childhood agony and pain, they would no longer need to punish society. No little baby boy is born an abuser, and no little girl is born a victim. This is learned behavior. The worst criminal was once a tiny baby. We need to eliminate the patterns that contribute to such negativity. If we would teach every child that they are worthwhile human beings deserving of love, if we encouraged their talents and abilities and taught them to think in a way that would create positive experiences, then in one generation we could transform society. These children would be our next parents and our new leaders. In 2 generations, we would be living in a world where there was respect and caring among all people. Drug and alcohol abuse would be a thing of the past. Doors could remain unlocked. Joy would be a natural part of life for everyone. These positive changes began in consciousness. You can contribute to the changes by holding these concepts in your mind. See them as being possible. Meditate every day on transforming our society back to the greatness that is our destiny here in America. You could affirm the following on a regular basis. I live in a peaceful society. All the children are safe and joyful. Everyone is well fed. Everyone has a place to live. There is meaningful work for everyone. Everyone has self-worth and self-esteem. The first purpose of the soul when it incarnates is to play, and the child grieves when it is placed in an environment where play is not permitted. Many children were brought up needing to ask their parents for everything. They could not make any decisions on their own. Others were raised under the burden of perfection. They were not allowed to make mistakes. In other words, they were not permitted to learn, so now they are fearful of making decisions. All of these experiences contribute to becoming a disturbed adult. I don't think our current school system helps children to be magnificent individuals. It's too competitive, and yet it also expects every child to conform. I also think the entire testing system in school makes children grow up feeling that they're not good enough. Childhood is not easy. There are too many things that stifle the creative spirit and contribute to feelings of unworthiness. If you had a very difficult childhood, then today you are probably still rejecting your own inner child. Perhaps you are not even aware that inside of you is the unhappy child you once were, one who may still be beating itself up. This child needs healing. This child needs the love you were denied, and you are the only one who can give it. A good exercise for all of us is to talk to our inner child on a regular basis. I like to take my inner child with me everywhere, 1 day a week. When I awaken, I say, "Hi, Lulabelle, this is our day. Come with me. We're going to have a lot of fun." And then everything I do that day, I do with Lulabelle. I talk to her, out loud or silently, and explain everything we're doing. I tell her how beautiful she is, how smart she is, and how much I love her. I tell her all the things she wanted to hear when she was a child. At the end of the day, I feel great, and I know my inner child is happy. You could find a photo of yourself as a child. Put it in a prominent place, perhaps placing some flowers next to it. And whenever you pass the picture, say, "I love you. I'm here to take care of you." You can heal your inner child. When that child is happy, so are you. You can also write with your inner child. Take out 2 different colored pens and a piece of paper. With your dominant hand, the one you always use, write a question. Then with the other pen and your non-dominant hand, let your inner child write the answer. It is an amazing way to connect with your inner child. You will get answers that will surprise you. There is a book by John Pollard III called Self-Parenting, which offers a wealth of exercises on how to get in touch with your inner child and how to talk with it. When you are ready to heal, you will find the way. Every negative message you received as a child can be turned into a positive statement. Let your self-talk be a continual stream of positive affirmations for building self-esteem. You will be planting new seeds that, if well watered, will sprout and grow. Affirmations for building self-esteem. I am loved and wanted. My parents adore me. My parents are proud of me. My parents encourage me. I love myself. I have a smart mind. I am creative and talented. I am always healthy. I have lots of friends. I am lovable. People like me. I know how to make money. I deserve to save money. I am kind and caring. I am a terrific person. I know how to take care of myself. I love the way I look. I am happy with my body. I am good enough. I deserve the best. I forgive anyone who ever hurt me. I forgive myself. I accept myself as I am. All is well in my world. I am perfect exactly as I am. I am neither too much nor too little. I do not have to prove to anyone or anything who I am. I know I am the perfect expression of the oneness of life. In the infinity of life, I have been many identities, each one a perfect expression for that particular lifetime. I am content to be who and what I am at this time. I am perfect as I am right here and right now. I am sufficient. I am one with all of life. There is no need to struggle to be better. I love myself more today than yesterday, and treat myself as someone who is deeply loved. I am cherished by myself. I blossom with joy and beauty. Love is my nourishment that brings me to greatness. The more I love myself, the more I love others. Together we lovingly nourish an ever more beautiful world. With joy, I recognize my perfection and the perfection of life, and so it is. We have a lot to do and a lot to learn. Life comes in waves and learning experiences and periods of evolution. For so long, women have been totally subjected to the whims and belief systems of men. We were told what we could do, when we could do it, and how. As a little girl, I remember I was taught to walk 2 steps behind a man and to look up to him and say, "What do I think and what do I do?" I was not told to do this literally, but I watched my mother, and that is what she did, so that is the behavior that I learned. Her background taught her to show complete obedience to men, so she accepted abuse as normal, and so did I. This is a perfect example of how we learn our patterns. It took me a long time to realize that such behavior was not normal, nor was it what I, as a woman, deserved. As I slowly changed my own inner belief system, my consciousness, I began to create self-worth and self-esteem. At the same time, my world changed, and I no longer attracted men who were dominant and abusive. Inner self-esteem and self-worth are the most important things a woman can possess. And if we do not have these qualities, then we need to develop them. When our self-worth is strong, we will not accept positions of inferiority and abuse. We only accept that behavior because we believe we are no good or worthless. No matter where we came from, no matter how abused we were as children, we can learn to love and cherish ourselves today. As women and mothers, we can teach ourselves to develop a sense of self-worth, and then we will automatically pass this trait on to our children. Our daughters will not allow themselves to be abused, and our sons will have respect for everybody, including all the women in their lives. Remember, no baby boy is born an abuser, and no baby girl is born a victim or lacking in self-worth. Abuse of others and lack of self-esteem is learned behavior. Children are taught violence and taught to accept victimhood. If we want the adults in our society to treat each other with respect, then we must raise the children in our society to be gentle and to have self-respect. Only in this way will the two sexes truly honor each other. Let's get our own acts together. Building up women does not mean having to diminish men. Male bashing is as bad as female harassment, and self-bashing is also a waste of time. We don't want to get into that. This behavior keeps us all stuck, and I feel we've had quite enough of being stuck. Blaming ourselves or men for all the ills in our lives does nothing to heal the situation and only keeps us powerless. Blame is always a powerless act. The best thing we can do for the men in our world is to stop being victims and get our own acts together. Everybody respects someone with self-esteem. We want to come from a loving space in our hearts and see everyone on this planet as someone who needs love. When women get it together, we will move mountains, and the world will be a better place in which to live. Women need to know, really know, that they are not second-class citizens. That is a myth perpetrated by certain segments of society, and it's nonsense. The soul has no inferiority. The soul does not even have sexuality. I know that when the feminist movement first came about, the women were so angry at the injustices that were levied upon them that they blamed the men for everything. That was okay at the time, though. These women needed to get out their frustrations for a while, sort of like therapy. You go to the therapist to work out your childhood abuse, and you need to express all those feelings before you can heal. When a group has been repressed for a long time, they go hog wild when they first experience their freedom. I see Russia today as a perfect example of this phenomenon. Can you even begin to imagine living under those circumstances of extreme repression and terror for so many years, and all the repressed rage and anger that must have been building up within each person? Then, suddenly, the country becomes free, but nothing is done to heal the people. The chaos that is now going on in Russia is normal and natural considering the circumstances. These people were never taught to care for each other or to love themselves. They have no role models of peace. I feel that the whole country needs deep therapy to heal the scars. When people are given time to express those feelings, the pendulum swings to a more balanced point. And this is what is happening to women now. It's time to release the anger and blame, the victimhood and the powerlessness. Now it is time for women to acknowledge and claim their own power, to take their thinking in hand, and to begin to create the world of equality they say they want. When women learn to take care of themselves in a positive way, to have self-respect and self-worth, life for all human beings, including men, will have taken a quantum jump in the right direction. There will be respect and love between the sexes, and both men and women will honor each other. Everyone will have learned that there is plenty for everyone, and that we can bless and prosper each other. We can all be happy and whole. We have the resources to effect change. For a long time, women have wanted to have more dominion over their own lives. Now we have the opportunity to be all that we can be. Yes, there is still much inequity in the earning power and the legal power of men and women. We still settle for what we can get in the courts of law. The laws were written for men. The courts talk about what a reasonable man would do, even in cases of rape. I would like to encourage women to begin a grassroots campaign to rewrite the laws so that they are equally favorable to both men and women. Women have tremendous collective power when they get behind an issue. We need to be reminded of our power, our collective power. The combined energy of women united in a common cause is powerful indeed. 75 years ago, women were campaigning for their right to vote. Today, we can run for office. We have come a long way, and we don't want to lose sight of that. Yet, we are just beginning this new phase of our evolution. We have much to do and much to learn. Women now have a new frontier of freedom, and we need creative solutions for all women, including those who live alone. The opportunities are limitless. 100 years ago, an unmarried woman could only be a servant in someone else's home, usually on an unpaid basis. She had no status, no say in things, and had to take life as it was handed to her. In those days, yes, a woman needed a man to have a complete life, sometimes just to survive. Even 50 years ago, the choices for an unmarried woman were narrow and limited. Today, an American woman has the whole world in front of her. She can rise as high as her capabilities and her belief in herself. She can travel, choose her jobs, make good money, have lots of friends, and develop great self-esteem. She can even have sexual partners and loving relationships if she wants them. Today, a woman can choose to have a baby without having a husband and still be socially acceptable, as many of our well-known actresses and artists and public figures are doing. She can create her own lifestyle. It is sad that so many women continue to moan and cry if they do not have a man by their side. We do not need to feel incomplete if we are not married or not in a relationship. When we look for love, we are saying that we don't have it. But we all have love within us. No one can ever give us the love we can give ourselves. Once we give our love to ourselves, no one can ever take it from us. We want to stop looking for love in all the wrong places. Being addicted to finding a partner is as unhealthy as remaining in an addictive or dysfunctional relationship. If we are addicted to finding a partner, then this addiction only reflects our feelings of lack. It is as unhealthy as any other addiction. It's another way of saying, what's wrong with me? There is so much fear surrounding being addicted to finding a partner, and so many feelings of not being good enough. We have put so much pressure on ourselves to find a mate that far too many women settle for abusive relationships. We do not have to do this to ourselves. We do not need to create pain and suffering in our own lives, nor do we need to feel acutely lonely and unhappy. These are all choices, and we can make new choices that support and fulfill us. Granted, we have been programmed to accept limited choices, but that was the past. We want to remember that the point of power is always in the present moment, and we can begin right now to create new horizons for ourselves. See your time alone as a gift. There's a Chinese proverb that says, "Women hold up half the sky." It's time we make that true. We will not learn how, though, by whining or being angry or making ourselves the victim, giving men and the system our power. Men don't make us victims. We do that by giving them our power. The men in our lives are mirrors of what we believe about ourselves. So often we look to others to make us feel loved and connected, when all they can do is mirror our own relationship with ourselves. So we really need to improve this most important relationship in order to move forward. I would like to concentrate most of my work on helping women accept and use their power in the most positive ways. Loving yourself is the most important kind of love. We all need to be very clear that the love in our lives begins with us. So often we look for Mr. Right to solve all our problems in the form of our fathers, our boyfriends, our husbands. Now it is time to be Miss Right for ourselves. And how do we do that? We begin by honestly looking at our flaws, not looking at what's wrong with us, but to see the barriers that we have put up that keeps us from being all that we can be. And without self-bashing, we can eliminate these barriers and make changes. Yes, many of those barriers are things we learned in childhood, but if we learned them once, then we can now unlearn them. We can acknowledge that we are willing to learn to love ourselves, and then we develop a few guidelines. Stop all criticism. It is a useless act. It never accomplishes anything positive. Don't criticize yourself. Lift that burden right now. Don't criticize others either, as the faults we usually find in others are merely projections of things we don't like in ourselves. Thinking negatively about another person is one of the greatest causes of limitation in your own life. Only we judge ourselves, not life, not God, not the universe. Affirm, I love and approve of myself. Don't scare yourself. We all want to stop that. Too often we terrorize ourselves with our own thoughts. We can only think one thought at a time. Let's learn to think in positive affirmations. In this way, our thinking will change our lives for the better. If you catch yourself scaring yourself, immediately affirm, I release my need to scare myself. I am a divine, magnificent expression of life, and I am living fully from this moment on. Be committed to the relationship you have with yourself. We get so committed to other relationships, but we sort of toss ourselves away. We get around to ourselves only now and then. So really care for who you are. Be committed to loving yourself. Take care of your heart and soul and affirm, I am my favorite person. Treat yourself as though you are loved. Respect and cherish yourself. As you love yourself, you will be more open to love from others. The law of love requires that you focus your attention on what you do want rather than on what you don't want. Focus on loving you and affirm, I love myself totally in the now. Take care of your body. Your body is a precious temple. If we are going to live a long, fulfilling life, then you want to take care of yourself now. You want to look good and, most of all, feel good. Nutrition and exercise are important. You want to keep your body flexible and moving easily until your final day on this wonderful earth. Affirm, I am healthy, happy, and whole. Educate yourself. Too often we complain that we don't know this or that, and we don't know what to do. But you're bright and smart, and you can learn. There are books and classes and tapes everywhere. If money is a consideration, then use the library. I know I shall be learning until my very last day on this planet. Affirm, I am always learning and growing. Build a financial future for yourself. Every woman has a right to have money of her own. This is a significant belief for us to accept. It is part of our self-worth. We can always start on a small level. The important thing is that we keep saving. Affirmations are important to use here, such as, I am constantly increasing my income. I prosper wherever I turn. Fulfill your creative side. Creativity can be anything that fulfills you. It could be anything from baking a pie to designing a building. Give yourself some time to express yourself. If you have children and time is short, find a friend who will help you take care of your children and vice versa. You both deserve time for yourselves. You're worth it. Affirm, I always find time to be creative. Make joy and happiness the center of your world. Joy and happiness are always within you. Make sure that you're connected with it. Build your life around this joy. A good affirmation to use every day is, joy and happiness are at the center of my world. Develop a strong spiritual connection with life. This connection may or may not have anything to do with the religion you were raised in. As a child, you had no choice. Now, as an adult, you can choose your own spiritual beliefs. Solitude is one of the special times in one's life. Your relationship with your inner self is the most important. Give yourself quiet reflection time. Connect with your inner guidance. Affirm, my spiritual beliefs support me and help me be all that I can be. You might want to listen to these guidelines and play them over once a day for a month or two until they're firmly in your consciousness and they're part of your life. There are so many types of love. Many women will never have children in this lifetime. Don't buy into the belief that a woman is unfulfilled without a child. I always believe there is a reason for everything. Perhaps you were meant to do other things in life. If you long for children and acutely feel this as a loss, then grieve about it and then move on. Get on with your life. Don't sit in the grieving process forever. You could affirm, I know that everything that happens in my life is perfect and I am deeply fulfilled. My personal belief is to stay away from fertility treatments. If your body is meant to have a baby, it will. If your body does not get pregnant, then there's a good reason. Accept it and move on with your life. Fertility treatments are expensive, experimental, and dangerous. We're now beginning to read about some of the horrors associated with them. One woman who had 40 treatments at vast expense did not get pregnant, but she did get AIDS. One of the many donors she used had the disease. Don't let doctors experiment with your body. When we use unnatural methods to force the body to do something that in its wisdom it does not want to do, we are asking for trouble. Don't fool around with Mother Nature. Look at all the problems many women are having because of breast implants. If your breasts are small, rejoice in them. Your body is exactly what you chose to have when you decided to incarnate this time. Be happy with who you are. I know I have had many children in my many lifetimes. This lifetime I do not have them. I accept this as perfect for me this time around. There are so many abandoned children in this world. If we really want to fulfill the maternal instinct, then adoption is a good alternative. We can also mother other women. Take a lost woman under your wing and help her to fly. Rescue abandoned, abused, and other homeless animals. There are also many single mothers struggling to raise children alone, and it is a very difficult job, and I applaud each and every one who goes through this experience. These women really know what tired means. But remember, we don't have to be super women, and we don't have to be perfect parents. If you learn some skills, read some of the great books that are out now on parenting. If you are a loving parent, your children will have an excellent chance of growing up to be the sort of people you would like to have as friends. They will be individuals who are self-fulfilled and successful. Self-fulfillment brings inner peace. I think the best things we can do for our children is to learn to love ourselves, for children always learn by example. You will have a better life, and they will have a better life. A wonderful book for parents is What Do You Really Want for Your Children by Dr. Wayne Dyer. There's also a positive side to being a single parent. Now women have an opportunity to raise their sons to be the men they say they want. Women complain so much about the behavior and attitudes of men, and yet women raise the sons. Blame is such a useless waste of energy. It's another powerless act. If we want men in our lives who are kind and loving and who reveal their sensitive feminine sides, then it's up to us to raise them that way. If you're a single mother, above all, do not bad-mouth your ex-husband. This only teaches your children that marriage is war. A mother has more influence over the child than anyone else. Mothers unite. When women get it together, we can have the kind of men we say we want in one generation. Let's ask ourselves a few questions, and when answered honestly, your answers can give you a new direction in life. How can I take this time to make my life the best it can be? What are the things I want from a man? What are the things I believe I need to get from a man? What is it I can do to fill these areas? Don't expect a man to be everything for you. That's a terrible burden for him. All right, what would fulfill me, and how can I give it to myself? What is my excuse when I have no one to put me down? If I never had a man in my life again, would I destroy myself over that lack? Or would I create a wonderful life and become a shining beacon for other women? That is, a way shower. What can I give to life? What is my purpose? What have I come to learn? And what have I come to teach? How can I cooperate with life? Remember, the smallest positive change in your thinking can unravel the biggest problem. When you ask the right questions of life, life will answer. The mere question, how can I fulfill myself without a man, can be a frightening concept for many women. And we need to acknowledge our fears and to walk through those fears. Dr. Susan Jeffers wrote a whole book on this subject, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. I also highly recommend her book, Opening Our Hearts to Men. Women Alone, Creating a Joyous and Fulfilling Life is a book by Ione Jensen and Julie Keene. It explores the ever-growing options for women who are living alone. Almost every woman lives alone at some point in her life, either as a young single person, a divorced woman, or a widow. I believe a question every bride needs to ask herself before having children is, am I willing to raise my children by myself? Likewise, all married women need to ask themselves, am I prepared to live by myself? As the authors of Women Alone say, the time has come to shift our perceptions and to look at the state of being without a committed partner within a larger context. As women alone, perhaps we are being called upon to be the new pioneers of a larger evolutionary purpose, and we are being asked to play a role in allowing a new model for life on our planet to emerge. Now, I feel that every woman is a pioneer today. Early pioneer women blazed trails, they took risks, they dealt with loneliness and fear, they lived lives of poverty and hardship. They had to help build their own shelters and forage for their own food. Even if married, their men were often away from home for long periods of time. Women had to fend for themselves and their children. They had to find their own resources, and they laid the groundwork for settling this country. Today's pioneer women are like you and me. We have incredible opportunities to fulfill ourselves and to bring about equality between the sexes. We want to bloom where we are planted. From the level of emotional maturity, women are at their highest point in their evolution in this lifetime. Women are now the best they have ever been. So it is time for us to shape our own destiny. There are many possibilities in life beyond what we may presently think or experience. We have opportunities never available to women before. It is time to join with other women to improve life for all of us. And this will in turn improve life for men. When women are fulfilled and satisfied and happy, they will be superb partners, wonderful people to live with and work with. And men will feel infinitely more comfortable with equals. We want to bless and prosper each other. I think we need to create something called Every Woman's Guide for Successful Living. It will not only be a woman's survival manual, but it will also create a new paradigm for women. We want to encourage every woman to be the best she can be. If we discourage another person, that discouragement will come back to us in some way. As we give encouragement to others, life will encourage us in very special ways. Life is very forgiving. Life simply asks us to be forgiving to ourselves and forgiving of our neighbors. The option of finding the right man is only one alternative in a long list of possibilities. If you are single, do not put your life on hold until you find a man. Get on with your life. If you don't, you might miss out on life your whole life. There's no question that men are magnificent creatures. I love men. But women who strive to be equal with men lack ambition and originality. We don't want to be like someone else. We want to be ourselves. As Judge Lois Foyer says in her wonderful book, What Every Woman Needs to Know Before and After She Gets Involved with Men and Money, the aim of women is not to emulate men, but to be complete, fulfilled human beings, female human beings, persons who enjoy all the rights, privileges, and entitlements of all citizens of this country, and also the very special pleasures of being a woman. We want to find our inner resources and our universal connection. We want to find and use this inner core. We all have a treasure trove of wisdom, peace, love, and joy inside of us. And these treasures are only a breath away. We are meant to explore new depths within ourselves and to make new choices. We as women have been programmed to accept limited choices. Many married women are extremely lonely because they feel they've lost their choices. They have given their power away. They do what I used to do. They look to a man and say, "What do I think and do?" In order to have change in our lives, remember that we first need to make these new choices in our minds. We change our own thinking, and then the outer world responds differently to us. So I'm asking you to go within and change your thinking. Connect with the treasures within you and use them. When we connect with the treasures within, then we will give to life from the magnificence of our being. Connect with your treasures every day. Treat yourself special, as though you are a beloved friend. Make a date with yourself once a week and keep it. Go to a restaurant or a movie or a museum, or play a sport you particularly like. Dress up for this event. Eat from your best dishes. Wear your nicest lingerie. Don't save the good stuff for company. Be your own company. Allow yourself to have facials and massages. Pamper yourself. If you don't have a lot of money, then trade massages or facials with a friend. Be grateful for life. Do random acts of kindness. Pay tolls for others. In a public restroom, pick up paper towels, wipe sinks, push down the paper and wastebaskets. Make it nice for the next person. Pick up trash on the beach or in a park. Give a flower to a stranger. Speak to a homeless person. Do a healing meditation for a gang member. Tell someone how much you appreciate him or her. Read to a lonely senior. Acts of kindness make us feel good. We are born alone and we die alone. We choose how to fill in the spaces in between. There's no limit to our creativity. We want to find joy in our capabilities. So many of us were raised to believe we couldn't take care of ourselves. It feels great to know that we can. Say to yourself often, whatever happens, I know I can handle it. We want to create a rich inner space. Let your thoughts be your own best friends. Most people think the same thoughts over and over. We think on the average of 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are the same thoughts we had the day before and the day before that. Our thinking patterns can become ruts of negativity. Think new thoughts every day. Think creative thoughts. Think of new ways to do old things. Have a strong philosophy of life, one that supports you in every way. This is mine. I am always safe and divinely protected. Everything I need to know is revealed to me. Everything I need comes to me in the perfect time-space sequence. Life is a joy and filled with love. I am loving and loved. I am vibrantly healthy. I prosper wherever I turn. I am willing to change and grow. All is well in my world. I repeat these statements often. I will say them over and over if something goes awry in any area of my life. For instance, if I feel under the weather, then I repeat, I am vibrantly healthy until I feel better. If I walk in a dark area, I will repeatedly affirm, I am always safe and divinely protected. These beliefs are so much a part of me that I can turn to them in an instant. Make a list that reflects your philosophy of life today. You can always change it or add to it. Create your personal laws now. Create a safe universe for yourself. The only power that could harm your body or your environment would be your own thoughts and beliefs. These thoughts and beliefs are changeable. You are with the perfect partner at the moment, yourself. Before you came to this planet this time, you chose to be who you are in this lifetime. Now you get to spend your whole life with you. Rejoice in this relationship. Make it the best, most loving relationship you can have. Be loving to yourself. Love the body you chose. It will be with you all your life. If there are things about your personality you would like to change, then change them. Do so with love and laughter, lots of laughter. This is all part of our soul's evolution. I believe this is the most exciting time to be alive. I thank life every morning when I wake up for the privilege of being here and experiencing all that is. I trust my future to be good. I truly feel that I am now one with all of life. I am in tune with the seasons, with the weather, the soil, the vegetation, and each and every creature that dwells on the earth and in the oceans and that flies in the air. It cannot be otherwise. We all use the same air and soil and water. We are totally interdependent upon one another. As I work in my garden, lovingly enriching the soil, planting, harvesting, and recycling, I feel this oneness, this unity. I can take a small section of hard, unproductive earth, often filled with weeds, and slowly transform it into rich loam that will support life in all its many forms. It's like taking a portion of our mind that is filled with destructive thoughts and patterns and nourishing it so that it can create and support healthy, enriching experiences. Positive, loving thoughts produce wellness. Negative, fearful, hateful thoughts contribute to dis-ease. We can heal our minds, we can heal our souls, we can heal our soil. We can help create a healthy planet where we can all prosper and live with joy and ease. But it is not until we love ourselves that we can accomplish this healing. People who don't respect themselves seldom respect the environment or even feel a need to care for it. It is not until we love and become in tune with nature that we can turn our earth into fertile gardens. When you see the earthworm in your garden, then you will know that you have created an environment that will support life. The earth truly is our mother. We need her to survive. The earth does not need humanity to thrive. Long before we came to this planet, Mother Earth was doing quite nicely. If we don't have a loving relationship with her, we are goners. It is time for us to change the momentum of destruction that has been created. In the last 2 centuries of so-called civilized evolution, we have done more to destroy this planet than in the preceding 2,000 centuries. In less than 200 years, more damage has been done to this planet than in the previous 200,000 years. This does not speak very highly of the stewardship that we have been entrusted with. You cannot cut down a tree and expect there to be a continuation of the same level of oxygen supply that there was before. You cannot dump chemicals into rivers, lakes, and streams and expect to drink that water without it affecting the physical body. We and our children now get to drink this impure water. You cannot keep dumping toxins and chemicals into the atmosphere and expect the air to cleanse itself. Mother Earth is doing the best she can to combat these destructive practices of humanity. We all need to develop an intimate relationship with the Earth. Talk to her. Ask Mother Earth, how can I cooperate with you? How can I receive your blessing and in turn bless you? We want to love this little ball of dirt hurtling through space. It is all we have right now. If we don't take care of it, who will? Where will we live? We have no right to go to outer space when we can't even take care of our own planet. Our Earth's consciousness exists in a different time relation. It doesn't care whether humanity is here or not. The Earth is a great teacher to those who take time to listen. Life will not end here, no matter what humanity does. The Earth will continue. Only humanity will return to the nothingness from whence it came, unless we change our ways. Everyone in the world, no matter where you live or how you live, has an intimate relationship with the Earth. Make sure that yours is a loving, supportive one. From the harvest comes the food that we prepare to nourish our bodies. Simply cooked with few ingredients, we have food fit for a healthy human body. It seems that as Americans we have drifted away from healthful eating to the convenience of fast foods. We are the most overweight, sick nation in the Western world. We overeat fatty, processed foods that are full of chemicals. We support the food manufacturers at the expense of our own health. The 5 biggest selling items in supermarkets are, in order, Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Campbell's soup, processed cheese, and beer. These items contain large amounts of sugar and or salt. Not one of them contributes to good health. The meat and dairy industry, not to mention the tobacco industry, have sold us a bill of goods, insisting that excessive amounts of milk and meat are good for us. However, it is precisely these massive amounts of meat and milk products that are contributing to the overwhelming incidences of breast cancer and other cancers and heart disease in this country. The tremendous abuse and overuse of antibiotics is allowing new, never-before-heard-of diseases to make their way into our lives. Antibiotics kill life. The medical community admits that they have no way to handle these new diseases, so they turn to the wealthy pharmaceutical companies to torture animals with their product testing just to create a new chemical that will only contribute to the breakdown of our immune systems. Genetically engineered hormones invade our milk supplies, and it has now become dangerous to our health to eat many other dairy products as well: yogurt, butter, cheese, ice cream, cream sauces, cream soups, anything else that's made with milk, including our beloved pancakes. These hormones also come from the pharmaceutical companies. As a concerned human being, you need to know if the milk you buy contains genetically engineered hormones. Ask your retailer and demand an answer. Find out if the ice cream you feed your children is slowly poisoning them. Ice cream used to be made only from whole milk, eggs, and sugar. Today, manufacturers are not required to put the many synthetic ingredients on the label. My basic philosophy on food is, if it grows, eat it. If it doesn't grow, don't eat it. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains grow. Twinkies and Coca-Colas do not. Things that grow nourish your body. Man-made processed foods cannot sustain life. No matter how beautiful and inviting the picture on the package is, there is no life within that package. The cells in your body are living and as such need living foods to grow and reproduce. Life has already provided us with everything we need to feed ourselves and to remain healthy. The simpler we can eat, the healthier we will be. We are what we think and what we eat. Knowing that whatever we give out, we always get back, I often wonder about the karma of the food manufacturers who knowingly create foods that harm the body, or of the cigarette manufacturers who put additives in their tobacco products to make them more addictive. We need to pay attention to what we put in our bodies, because if we don't, who will? We prevent dis-ease through conscious living. Some people see their bodies as machines to be abused and then take them to the body shop to be repaired. I was diagnosed with cancer in the mid-1970s. I asked the medical profession for 6 months' time before I had to have surgery, using the excuse that it would take me that long to save the money for the operation. Then I found a wonderful naturopathic doctor who taught me so much about holistic health. He put me on a predominantly raw food diet for 6 months, and I was scared enough by my cancer diagnosis to follow this diet to the letter. I ate enormous amounts of sprouts and pureed asparagus and took colonics and had foot reflexology and gave myself coffee enemas. I also walked a lot, prayed, and engaged in intensive therapy to release old resentment patterns from my childhood. Most importantly, I practiced forgiveness, and I learned to treasure myself. Through therapy, I learned to see the truth about my parents' childhoods, and as I began to understand their backgrounds, I was able to start the forgiveness process. I cannot say that any one thing produced a cure, but within 6 months, I was able to get the medical profession to agree with what I already knew. I no longer had any trace of cancer. Since that time in my life, I have explored many different holistic systems and have found that some were more conducive to my personal lifestyle than others. I learned that I loved macrobiotic food, but that cooking in this style was too time-consuming for me. I also gained an appreciation for the raw food program of nutritionist Ann Wigmore and others, which I found to be very cleansing and very delicious, My body loves lots of raw food in the summer, but I can only eat a limited quantity in the winter as my body tends to get too cold. The food combining method promoted in Harvey and Marilyn Diamond's book Fit for Life is another healthful alternative. The authors recommend eating only fruit in the morning and then to avoid eating starches and proteins at the same meal. That is, to eat protein with vegetables and starches with vegetables. Each group of foods needs a different enzyme for complete digestion. When starches and proteins are eaten together, the different digestive enzymes cancel each other out and digestion only partially occurs. Not only will food combining improve your digestion, it will also help you lose weight. Exploring many different types of systems, whatever works better for you, allows us to formulate a combination diet that is best for our own bodies. For me, the results of my new outlook on food were apparent in my total being. When I began to learn about nutrition, I leaned towards eating healthier food, just like when I came to a realization about the laws of life and began to think healthier thoughts. Today, in my late 60s, I have more energy than I had 30 years ago. I can work in my garden all day and lift 40-pound bags of compost. I find that if I feel sniffles coming on, I can release them quickly. If I overindulge at a party, then the next day I know what foods to eat to bring my energy back. All in all, I lead a healthier, happier life. The body shifts out of balance when it is fed too many processed foods and additives. White flour and sugar contribute to ill health, as does oversprayed produce and excessive consumption of meats and dairy products, all of which burden the body with toxins. On the physical level, arthritis is a disease of toxicity. The body becomes loaded down with too much acidity. A diet that is rich in grains, vegetables, and fresh fruits is a good first step on the road to wellness. Also, you need to really pay attention to what you eat and how you feel after you eat. For example, if you have lunch and an hour later you want to go to sleep, then obviously something you've eaten has not agreed with you. Start keeping a record of what foods give you a lot of energy and then eat lots of them. Keep track of the foods that bring you down and eliminate them from your diet. If you find that you have a lot of allergies, my first comment on a metaphysical level would be, who are you allergic to? On the physical level, you might want to seek out a good nutritionist. If you don't know where to find a nutritionist, I would suggest you go to your local health food store. Ask the personnel there for a recommendation. They always know about the local wellness practitioners. What I look for when I meet a new nutritionist is someone who will give me a diet specifically tailored for my particular needs, rather than someone who just doles out a standard diet to everybody. I find that cow's milk, which is so harmful to the body, can be substituted with soy milk, which more and more supermarkets are starting to carry. Since my body doesn't do too well with soy products, I substitute a rice milk called Rice Dream. The plain variety is great for drinking and for all types of cooking, and the vanilla and carob flavors are delicious for desserts. I often use the vanilla flavor over breakfast cereals, and sometimes even use apple juice in this way too. I find that fasting is also an excellent cleansing technique. 1 or 2 days on fruit or vegetable juice or potassium broth can do wonders for the body, but I think that longer fasts are advisable only under the supervision of a trained professional who is well versed in fasting. Whenever I can, I spend 1 day a week in bed resting, reading or writing on the computer. I stay in bed and eat very lightly, sometimes just liquids. The next day I feel like a new person with a lot more energy. This is an act of loving myself. Yes, I do eat small amounts of meat now and then. Although I eat a great deal of vegetables, I am not a total vegetarian. My system does require some meat once or twice a week. But I do try to stick with New Zealand lamb or some rare hormone-free beef or free-range veal, and occasionally chicken or fish. I have also slowly reduced the sugar content of my foods over a period of time, and now seldom use any. When cooking at home, I use a product called Fruit Source, an all-purpose sweetener made from grapes and grains. I personally would never use the artificial sweeteners that you see on restaurant tables. If you read the labels on those packets, they say that their product is detrimental to your health. Cravings for certain types of food almost always indicate an imbalance of some sort in your body. Constant Craving, What Your Food Cravings Mean and How to Overcome Them, a book by Doreen Virtue, deals with this very subject. The body is trying to make up for deficiencies when it craves something. For example, too much protein can create a craving for sweets, while a lack of magnesium will often inspire a craving for chocolate. A balanced diet filled with fresh vegetables, fruits, and grains will contribute to more balanced taste buds, and you will find that your cravings will start to diminish. Some people find that they have a craving for fatty foods above all others. As you probably know from all the publicity that fat grams have been getting in the news, eating excessive amounts of fat can cause clogged arteries, heart disease, and of course weight gain. Unfortunately, most of us were brought up on a high-fat diet when we were children, so it can be a challenge to start eating simple foods. We think that the taste of fat is normal and tasty. A double cheeseburger with a side of fries is loaded with non-saturated fat and salt. Yet, after a 3-day juice fast, simple foods taste great. So if you find that you crave the taste and texture of fatty foods, try one of these affirmations. I enjoy simple, natural foods. Foods that are good for my body taste delicious. I love being healthy and energetic. The first week on a low-fat diet might be difficult, but as you continue to eat vegetables, fruits, and grains with minimal seasoning, your taste buds will start to change. You can begin to modify your taste buds by using some of the salt substitutes. VegSol is a product with a tiny bit of salt with lots of ground vegetables in it. Veggie and Mrs. Dash are also popular. Spike is another good one, although it does contain some yeast. Even with the substitutes, it's a wise idea to train yourself to use a little bit less each day until you learn to enjoy the taste of unadulterated food. Sea seasonings are seaweed granules and are a good way to incorporate sea vegetables into your diet. In the letters that I receive from people all over the world, there are certain food and nutrition-related questions that keep coming up time after time. So I'd like to share my thoughts with you on these subjects, but please remember that these are my personal opinions. Anorexia. I believe that the contributing factor with respect to anorexia is self-hatred, pure and simple, accompanied by a total feeling of insecurity, of not feeling good enough. Sometime during the childhood years, certain people start to believe that there is something wrong with them, so they search for an excuse to explain their perceived inadequacies. If only I were thin enough, then I would be lovable, smarter, prettier, and so on. People dealing with anorexia need to accept the fact that there is nothing wrong with them, that they are indeed lovable, and most importantly, worthy of their own love. Bulimia. The mental cause of bulimia is very similar to that of anorexia, except that the anorexic can never be thin enough, while the bulimic must maintain his or her figure at all costs. The bulimic is stuffing down feelings and then purging them by vomiting. In both cases, there is a little child inside who desperately needs love. What both the anorexic and the bulimic need to know is that only they can give their inner child the love and acceptance it needs. Self-worth and self-esteem emanate from within and have nothing to do with our looks. One of the best treatments for both anorexia and bulimia would be group therapy that focuses on loving the self. This is the ideal setting for discovering our false beliefs, learning that other people do indeed love and accept us as we are. When we learn to love ourselves, then we automatically tend to take care of our bodies and to learn what foods are best for our bodies. Healthy, nutritious food by itself will not convince the hurting child within that it is lovable. Overeating. I believe that we gain weight because our bodies are toxic. We have stuffed them with the wrong kinds of foods for far too long. There is no point in going on a crash diet to lose weight, because after depriving yourself, you will just gain it all back quickly. The best decision is to go for health and to learn to eat in a healthful way. This practice alone will help release excess weight. And if you continue to eat healthful foods, the weight will stay off. Strict diets are a form of self-hatred. They do not reflect self-love, and they do not create permanent change. When there is true self-love, there is no need for dieting. The change happens automatically. Sandra Ray's book, The Only Diet There Is, teaches you how to remove negative thinking from your diet. If you have children who eat junk food or who are overweight, try to be a loving example yourself. Keep all junk foods out of your home and study nutrition together. Have your children choose their own foods from a select group of positive choices. Experiment with how different foods affect each of you differently. Make your new way of eating a learning experience, and let your children teach you something about nutrition every week. With respect to overweight children, remember that you, as parents, do the shopping and control what foods come into your household. However, overweight children are usually dealing with insecurity issues. Try to discern what is troubling your children so much that they need extra weight for protection. Are you being too hard on them? Where has the communication broken down between you? With overweight children, there is usually a lot more going on than just the overindulgence of too much food. Of course, I have to add that the proliferation of fast food restaurants have done tremendous damage to our children's health. Not only do we have many unhealthy, overweight children, but they also tend to grow up into adults who think that eating high-fat, non-nutritious food is the norm. No wonder we have such an overweight population. We have 56 million overweight people in this country. High-fat, high-sugar diets contribute to hyperactive kids, unruly teens, and many residents in the prison systems. We don't need diets, though. What we need to do is to go back to eating natural, healthful foods. Hypoglycemia. Individuals dealing with hypoglycemia often feel overburdened by life. They see life as something that is too much to handle. There's usually quite a bit of self-pity involved, and the general feeling is, what's the use? People with this condition need to eat small meals on a regular basis. They need to keep up their blood sugar in order to lift their energy levels. But sugar is the worst thing to take, however, because it sends the blood sugar level way up and then it crashes down, leaving the individual feeling devastated. Grains are really the best things to eat because they keep the blood sugar level at an even keel for a long time. Eating natural cereal for breakfast, hot or cold, without sugar, will keep up your energy level until lunch. Also, it's always wise for a hypoglycemic to carry small, nutritious snacks with him or her during the day. Raw vegetables, a few raw almonds, crackers, or a bit of soy cheese are some good choices. Dried fruit is not a good choice because it's too concentrated and too sweet. Again, a qualified nutritionist can offer you the best advice for you. Nicotine addiction. I smoked for many years, starting when I was 15. At that time, I wanted to appear sophisticated and grown up. I thought that cigarettes helped me calm my nerves, but they really just made me more nervous. They became a way for me to handle my emotional insecurity. Like most people, I became addicted, and it took me quite some time to finally quit forever. Cigarettes are substitutes for many other things. They can be a smokescreen to keep people away, a substitute for companionship, a way to control feelings, a way to beat yourself up, or even a misguided way to control weight. No matter why a person begins to smoke, once started, smoking quickly becomes an addiction that is very hard to break. Now the tobacco companies are adding substances that make cigarettes even more addictive. When cigarette smokers decide they want to release this addictive habit, there are many avenues to take. This does not have to be a lonely struggle, but the smoker needs to really want to stop. If this is the case for you, then acupuncture will help release the cravings. There are also some homeopathic remedies, such as smoking withdrawal relief by Naturbio, or Nicostop tea by Crystal Star. Chewing on a piece of licorice root can be helpful too. Check out your local health food store for other options. Alternative Medicine, a book by the Burton Goldberg Group, recommends taking an Epsom salt bath with 1/2 pound of the salts. This pulls nicotine and tar from the skin. Shower afterwards and then dry off with a white towel. You will be amazed to see the brownish residue on the towel from the nicotine that has been excreted by the skin. I think it would be an excellent idea for everyone, smokers or not, to write to all the cigarette companies and demand that they stop putting addictive additives in the tobacco and cigarettes. This is a very wicked practice and an expression of greed at the expense of the consumer's health. If the government won't stop it, then we, the people, must. Colds and fevers. Metaphysically, colds relate to mental congestion. When there's too much confusion and too many projects going on, then there is often an inability to make clear decisions. On the physical level, colds stem from putting too many unnatural foods into the body, which overcongests the bowels. Many people say, feed a cold and starve a fever. But what is actually being said is, if you feed a cold, then you will have to starve a fever. So the answer is to lighten up. Lighten up your diet by eating more fresh vegetables, fruits, and grains. Leave the processed foods and heavy meats alone. And definitely take it easy on the dairy products. Milk creates mucus in the body. Lots of ear problems are aggravated by dairy products, as are lung conditions. A cold is also nature's warning that the body needs a rest from stress and a rest from food. If we rush to the drugstore to buy the latest over-the-counter medication to stifle our symptoms, then we are not allowing the healing intelligence of the body to take over. We must listen to our bodies and cooperate with their messages. Our bodies love us and want us to be healthy. I cringe every time I see an ad on TV for the latest medication that will get you back to work in no time. When we take these formulas, it's as though we are whipping a tired horse to make it work harder. It doesn't work, and it's a very unloving act. Bodies that are mistreated give out far too soon. Fevers usually represent burning up in anger. On the physical level, the body creates a fever to burn up the toxins. It's a way of cleaning house. For a long time, we have repressed our thoughts and emotions so fully, particularly with the use of medications, that rarely do we really know what we're thinking or feeling. We don't even know if we're sick or well. Candida. People who have candida are often very frustrated and angry and may feel scattered in their personal and professional lives. Since they are basically untrusting, they are often very demanding in relationships. They're great takers, but not very good givers. Early in life, they learned that they could not trust people who were close to them. Now, they cannot trust themselves. According to Healthy Healing, an alternative healing reference by naturopathic Dr. Linda Rector-Page, candidiasis is a state of inner imbalance, not a germ, bug, or dis-ease. Candida albicans is a strain of yeast commonly found in the gastrointestinal and genitourinary areas of the body. It is generally harmless, but when resistance and immunity are low, the yeast is able to multiply rapidly, feeding on sugars and carbohydrates in these tracts. It releases toxins into the bloodstream and causes far-reaching problems. Stress and lack of rest aggravate this condition in a body that is already out of balance. Healthy Healing is an excellent book that I highly recommend, along with its companion book, Cooking for Healthy Healing. To treat candida, nutritionists recommend eliminating sugar, artificial sweeteners, breads, yeast, dairy products, fruit, tea, coffee, vinegars, and tobacco, among other items, for at least 2 months. Candida is a condition that really requires treatment by a qualified nutritionist. Menopause. I believe that menopause is a normal, natural process of life. It is not meant to be a dis-ease. Each month during the menstruation, the body sloughs off the bed that was prepared for a baby that was not conceived. It also releases many toxins at that time. If we eat a junk food diet, or even just the standard American diet of processed foods, 20% sugars and 37% fat, we are building up toxins all the time, perhaps more than we can eliminate. If we have a lot of toxins in our bodies when we're on the brink of menopause, then the process will be more uncomfortable. So the better you take care of your body on a daily basis, the easier your menopause time will be. A difficult or easy menopause period begins with how we feel about ourselves from puberty on. Women who are experiencing a difficult menopause are usually people who have eaten poorly for a long time and who have poor mental self-images. In the 1900s, our lifespans were about 49 years. In those days, menopause was no big deal. By the time you had menopause, you were on your way out. Today, our lifespans are around 80 years, and menopause is an issue that must be dealt with. More and more women today are choosing to take a more active, responsible role in their health care, to grow more in harmony with their own bodies, and to allow processes of change such as menopause to unfold naturally for them with little discomfort or diminished capacities. Like everything else in our lives, we all experience different degrees of readiness and willingness. For many of us, the level of responsibility and commitment necessary to bring our minds and bodies into harmony when it comes to deep-seated issues is too great. We need help from the medical profession or other sources until we feel ready or safe enough to confront some of the issues impacting our health and well-being, such as beliefs about self-worth. A far too common belief in our society is that women have little or no worth without their reproductive powers. Is it any wonder that many women fear and resist menopause? Estrogen therapy does not address these types of issues. Only our hearts and minds can deal with these perceptions. I do feel that it is imperative that women educate themselves about what their real choices are. Please read and share with your friends the book, The Menopause Industry, How the Medical Establishment Exploits Women, by Sandra Coney from Hunter House. This book points out that until the 1960s, doctors were not much interested in menopause. Women were told that it was all in their heads. After all, Freud said that menopause was a neurotic condition. Dr. Robert A. Wilson, a New York gynecologist, founded a private trust that was supported by donations from the pharmaceutical industry. His book, Feminine Forever, published in 1966, launched a crusade to rescue women from the living decay of menopause and to have women take estrogen from puberty to grave. Today, menopause has become a commodity that can be exploited for commercial gain. The pharmaceutical industry has promoted the idea of menopause as a disease because it has the drugs to treat it. The author continues to say, there is no area that demonstrates the entrenched sexism of medicine more sharply than that of menopause. The new view of menopause as dis-ease is socially controlling. Modern medicine does not make women more powerful and in control of their lives. They make patients out of well women. I'm not suggesting that there are not some women who are helped by hormone replacement therapy, HRT, but for many in the medical establishment to now make the blanket statement that all women need HRT from menopause till death is to condemn and belittle the midlife woman. Essentially, what I'm suggesting is that striving for harmony and balance in our bodies and our minds can make potentially debilitating side-effect-ridden drug therapies unnecessary. In my own case, when I had my first hot flash, I went to a friend who practiced homeopathy. He gave me 1 dose of a homeopathic remedy, and I never had a hot flash again. It was a blessing that he knew me so well. There are many herbs used today by nutritionists that are very helpful when you are going through this time of life. There are also natural substances that take the place of estrogen. Speak to your nutritionist about these matters. Remember, women today are pioneers who are working to change old negative belief patterns so that our daughters and our daughters' daughters will never have to suffer during menopause. Water. Pure, clean water. Oxygen is number 1 and water is number 2 when it comes to the most important contributions to health. There is nothing like it. There is nothing like it. Not only does water quench thirst, but it cleanses the body. If every time you wanted a snack you would reach for a large glass of water, you would do your body a good deed. Our bodies are almost 75% water. Every cell needs water to do its best work. I suggest that you learn to drink lots of water, with one exception. Do not drink water with your meals, as it will dilute your digestive fluids and you will not get as much nourishment from your food. Unfortunately, humankind, mostly industry, has been polluting this precious substance for some time now. Most of our municipal water is not fit to drink, being treated with many chemicals. As a result, many of us turn to the bottled waters. Most supermarkets and even convenience stores now carry bottled water. I personally like to buy artesian well water when I'm traveling. At home, I have put a water filter on the outside of my whole house so that all the water is filtered, including the water in my shower. In the kitchen sink, I have another filter so that my drinking water is double filtered. Here in Southern California, we have periodic drought seasons, and during the last drought, I sent these ideas to our local newspaper. Use common sense to save more water. Our water has flowed so freely for so long, and we have used it so lavishly, that now in this time of an intense water crisis, when we are being asked to cut our individual usage by 50%, we do not know what to do. So here are some common sense guidelines that with a little effort we can easily follow. 1. Use every bit of water twice if you can. Don't let water run down the sink. Collect it and reuse it. 2. Wash salad greens and vegetables in a bowl. Reuse that water for houseplants. 3. When you change the dog's water dish, give the water to a plant. 4. Switch to biodegradable, non-toxic soaps and cleansers so that you can easily reuse the water for plants without harming them. 5. Let the dishwasher take a vacation and go back to doing the dishes by hand. You'll save water and electricity. Use one basin for washing and one for rinsing, and definitely save the rinse water. 6, all water from a vase of flowers can be reused for houseplants. They love it. The water is full of nutrients. 7, when you brush your teeth or wash your face, again, put a bowl in the sink and collect that water for outdoor plants. 8, I keep a large garbage can or 2 by the kitchen door and 1 by my bathroom door, and any water that I do not need to use at the moment I store, dishwater, bath water, rinse water, etc. 9, get a dam for your toilet, or make one from a double plastic bag filled with water and tied securely. In Santa Barbara, where they have been dealing with a water shortage for a long time, they have a saying, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. In other words, you don't have to flush every time you use the toilet. 10, install a soap saver shower head. Wet down your body, press the knob to turn off the water while you soap up, and then rinse off quickly. 11, get a flat stopper for the shower stall and collect the water. Scoop it into a pail and use it for plants. 12, it may not be what you're used to, but you can easily bathe in 3 inches of water. Collect the bath water and reuse it in the garden. Even if you don't have a garden yourself, you could take a bucket of water outside every day and perhaps save a tree in your apartment complex. Adopt a tree somewhere and water it regularly with water that you would otherwise let go down the drain. 13, make sure you have a full load before you use the washer. 14, have a tank attached to your rain gutters so that you can collect that water when it does rain. 15, look into gray water that you can recycle. Have a plumber adjust your pipes so that the kitchen, bath, and washing machine water all flow into the garden. 16, enlist the children. Have a contest in your family. See who can save the most water in one day. And 17, mulch the plants you do water in the garden so that they can live on less. Still, with all these methods, some of the garden may have to go. Remember, it is only a temporary measure. When the rains come again, we can replant. And also remember that in many places on the planet, they still carry water in a bucket from a central well for all household needs. As difficult as it may be to cut back now, be grateful for the convenient ways that water flows into your life. Bless the water with love each time you use it. Be thankful for all that you have. Love your body. When you listen with love to your body's messages, you will fuel it with the food it needs, exercise it, and love it. I believe we contribute to every so-called dis-ease in our body. The body, like everything else in life, is a mirror of your inner thoughts and beliefs. The body is always talking to you if you will take the time to listen. Every cell within your body responds to every single thought you think and every word you speak. It's an act of love to take care of your body. As you learn more and more about nutrition, you'll start to notice how you feel after you eat certain foods. You'll figure out which foods give you the optimum strength and lots of energy, then you'll stick to eating those foods. I don't believe that we all have to get sick and wind up in nursing homes. That's not how we were meant to leave this extraordinary planet. I think we can take care of ourselves and be healthy for a long time. We need to cherish and revere these wonderful temples that we live in. One way to do so is to stay away from aluminum, which is really creating so many problems. Researchers are finding out that it has a direct correlation with Alzheimer's disease. Remember that aluminum is not only in deodorants, beer, and soft drink cans, but in aluminum foil and pots and pans, which you might consider disposing of. I understand that it's also an ingredient in those spray breath fresheners and in many cake mixes. All of that stuff is just poison for your body. And why would you want to put poison in the body you love? I believe the best way to be good to your body is to remember to love it. Look into your own eyes in the mirror often. Tell yourself how wonderful you are. Give yourself a positive message every time you see your own reflection. Just love yourself. Don't wait until you become thin or build your muscles or lower your cholesterol or reduce your fat ratio. Just do it now because you deserve to feel wonderful all of the time. You are great. Affirmations for loving the body. I love my body. My body loves to be healthy. My heart is the center of love. My blood has life and vitality. Every cell in my body is loved. All of my organs work perfectly. I see with love. I hear with compassion. I move easily and comfortably. My feet dance through life. I bless my food with love. Water is my favorite beverage. I know how to take care of myself. I am healthier than I have ever been. I appreciate my glorious body. I am healthy, healed, and whole. I forgive myself for not treating my body well in the past. I was doing the best I could with the understanding and knowledge that I had. Now I care enough for myself to nourish myself with all the best that life has to offer. I give my body what it needs on every level to bring it up to optimum health. I eat nutritious foods with joy. I drink lots of nature's pure water. I continually find ways to exercise that are fun. I love every part of my body inside and out. I now choose the peaceful, harmonious, loving thoughts that create an internal atmosphere of harmony for the cells in my body to live in. I am in harmony with every part of life. My body is a good friend that I take loving care of. I am nurtured and nourished. I rest well, I sleep peacefully, I awaken with joy. Life is good, and I enjoy living it, and so it is. For generations, we have allowed the numbers that correspond to how many years we have been on this planet to tell us how to feel and how to behave. As with any other aspect of life, what we mentally accept and believe becomes true for us. Well, I think it's time to change our beliefs about aging. When I look around and see frail, sick, frightened older people, I say to myself, it doesn't have to be that way. Many of us have learned that by changing our thinking, we can change our lives. So I know we can make aging a positive, vibrant, healthy experience. I am now in my 68th year, and I am a big, strong, healthy girl. In many ways, I feel younger than I did at 30 or 40, because I no longer feel the pressures to conform to certain standards imposed by society. I am free to do what I want. I no longer search for anyone's approval, nor do I care what anyone says about me. I please myself much more often. Peer pressure has definitely become less important. In other words, for the first time in my life, I am putting myself first, and it feels good. There was a time when I allowed the media and the so-called authority figures to dictate my behavior, to make judgments about what I wore and which products I bought. Back then, I truly believed that if I did not use all the products that were advertised, then I was not acceptable. One day, I realized that using all these products only made me acceptable for one day. The next day, I had to start all over. I remember spending endless hours plucking my eyebrows in order to be acceptable. That all seems so silly at this point in my life. Part of wisdom is knowing what is right for us, sticking to those beliefs, and then releasing all the rest. And I don't mean that one need never explore anything new. We want to learn and grow all the time. What I do mean is that it's important to separate the need from the hype and make your own decisions. Make your own decisions about everything, including anything I'm telling you. While I feel that my ideas have a lot of worth, you have every right to dismiss every one of them. Only use whatever works best for you. It is unfortunate that from the first moment we are propped up in front of the television until the last time we turn on the set, we are bombarded with advertisements and inane concepts about life. Little children are targeted as consumers and are expected to beg their parents for certain foods and toys. We are told what to want and what to possess. Few parents teach their children how phony the ads on TV are, how many lies and exaggerations they contain. How could they? These parents were also raised on television ballyhoo. So as we grow up, we turn into mindless consumers, buying whatever we're told to buy, doing whatever they tell us to do, and believing in all authority figures and whatever we see in print. When we are children, this is understandable, but as adults, we need to examine and question everything. If something does not make sense for us, if it is not for our highest good, then it is not right for us. Wisdom is learning when to say no to people, places, and things and experiences that do not benefit us. Wisdom is the ability to examine our belief systems and our relationships to make sure that what we are doing or accepting is for our greater good. Why do I buy this product? Why do I work at this job? Why do I have these friends? Why do I choose this religion? Why do I live here? Why do I believe this about myself? Why do I look at life this way? Why do I feel this way about men or women? Why do I fear or look forward to my later years? Why do I vote the way I do? Do your answers make you feel good about yourself and about life? Do you do things in a certain way only because that is the way you have always done it? Or is that the way your parents taught you to do it? What are you teaching your children about aging? What is the example you are giving them? Do they see a dynamic, loving person enjoying each day and looking forward to the future? Or are you a bitter, frightened person, dreading your elder years and expecting to be sick and alone? Our children learn from us, and so do our grandchildren. What kind of elder years do you want to help them envision and create? Learn to love who you are and where you are, and you will move forward, appreciating each and every moment of your life. This is the example you want to teach your children, so that they too can enjoy happy, wonderful lives until the very end. The child who does not feel good about herself or himself will search for reasons to hate his or her body. Because of the intense pressure placed upon us by the advertising world, we often believe that there is something wrong with our bodies. If only we could be thin enough, blonde enough, tall enough, if our noses were bigger or smaller, if we had a more dazzling smile, the list goes on and on. So while we are all young at one point, few of us have ever measured up to the current standards of beauty. The youth-worshipping cult we have created has added to the discomfort with which we regard our bodies, not to mention our fear of wrinkles. We see every change in our face and body as something to be disdained. What a pity! What a terrible way to feel about ourselves! And yet it is only a thought, and a thought can be changed. The way we choose to perceive our bodies and ourselves is a learned concept. The belief in aging, coupled with the feeling of self-hatred so many people have, has caused our life expectancy to be less than 100 years. We are in the process of discovering the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, beliefs, intentions, words, and actions that allow us to live long and healthy lives. I would like to see everyone loving and treasuring their magnificent selves inside and out. If you do not feel good about a part of your body, ask yourself why. Where did you get this notion? Did someone tell you that your nose was not straight enough? Who told you that your feet were too big or that your bust was too small? Whose standards are you following? By accepting these concepts, you are injecting anger and hatred into your own body. The sad fact of the matter is that the cells in our bodies cannot do their best work if they are surrounded by hatred. It's the same as if you went to work every day and your boss hated you. You would never be comfortable, nor could you do a good job. However, if you work in an atmosphere of love and approval, your creativity can blossom in ways that will surprise you. Your cells respond to the way you feel about them. Every thought we think is creating a chemical reaction in our bodies. We can either bathe our cells in a healing atmosphere, or we can create poisonous reactions within us. I have noticed that when people get sick, they often direct anger to the affected part of the body. And the result? The healing process is delayed. So you can see how crucial it is to our own well-being to constantly love and appreciate the magnificent beings that we are. Our body, our skin sack, as the Chinese say, or the suit that we have chosen to wear in this lifetime, is a wondrous invention. It is just perfect for us. The intelligence within us beats our hearts, gives breath to our body, and knows how to heal a cut or a broken bone. Everything that goes on in our body is miraculous. If we would honor and appreciate every part of our bodies, then our health would greatly improve. If there is some part of your body that you are not happy with, then take a month and continually put love into that area. Literally tell your body that you love it. You might even apologize for having hated it in the past. This exercise may sound simplistic, but it works. Love yourself inside and out. The love you create for yourself now will stay with you for the rest of your life. Just as we learn to hate ourselves, so too can we learn to love ourselves. It only takes willingness and a bit of practice. Feeling vital and energetic is much more important to me than a wrinkle or two, or even more. Cosmopolitan magazine editor Helen Gurley Brown was on the Larry King Show not too long ago, and I heard her say over and over again, "Getting old is the pits. It's the pits. I hate getting old." And I couldn't help thinking, what a terrible affirmation to keep repeating. My suggestion would be to affirm, "I love my elder years. They are the best years of my life." For a long time, people were unaware that their thoughts and actions had any relation to their health or lack of it. Today, even the medical profession is beginning to acknowledge the body-mind connection. Dr. Deepak Chopra, author of the bestseller Ageless Body, Timeless Mind, was invited by Sharp Hospital, a prominent West Coast medical institution, to set up a body-mind clinic there. Dr. Dean Ornish, who practices the holistic treatment of heart disease, has been endorsed by Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company. This huge corporation is now allowing its claimants to receive his treatment under their plan. They have recognized that it is far less expensive to pay for a week's stay at Dr. Ornish's clinic than to pay for open heart surgery. This surgery is very expensive, $50,000 to $80,000 per procedure. What many people don't realize is that this surgery only unclogs the arteries for the moment. Bypass surgery is not a long-term solution unless we change our thinking and our diet. And we could have done that in the first place and avoided all the pain and suffering and expense. We want to love and take care of our bodies. Drugs and surgery won't do it alone. In the coming years, I foresee the event of body-mind clinics at hospitals throughout the country, with insurance companies willingly paying for these treatments. Those who will benefit the most are the people who learn to take care of their own health. They will discover what it means to be truly healthy. I see doctors teaching health practices to their patients instead of just prescribing drugs and surgery for ailments as they do now. We have many disease care programs, but very few health care programs. We are being taught how to handle dis-ease rather than how to promote health. I believe that in the near future, alternative or complementary medicine will merge with technological medicine to create a true wellness program for all of us. I see health as preventative medicine and care, not just crisis and sickness care. A good health care plan would include education. It would teach us all how to contribute to our wellness. Everyone could learn the principles of the mind-body connection, the value of nutrition and exercise, and the use of herbs and vitamins. We could all explore other complementary natural ways of creating wellness among our population. USA Today reported in 1993 that 34% of the U.S. population, or 80 million people, use some form of alternative health care, including chiropractic treatments. They reported that Americans have made over 250 million office visits to alternative health care practitioners. And many of these visits resulted from the fact that the medical profession could no longer meet their needs. And I think the number would be much greater if the insurance companies would pay for these visits. We have set up a system where mutilation and poison is the accepted way of treating illness, and the natural ways of healing are considered unnatural. One day, all the insurance companies will discover that it is much cheaper for them to pay for an acupuncture or nutritional treatment than for a visit to the hospital, and it will often yield better results. It is time for all of us to take our power back from the medical and pharmaceutical industries. We have been buffeted about by high-tech medicine, which is very expensive and which often destroys our health. It is time for all of us, and especially the elders who have less time, to learn to take control of our own bodies and create good health, thereby saving millions of lives and billions of dollars. Are you aware that 50% of all bankruptcies are caused by hospital bills, and that the average person who enters the hospital with a fatal illness will lose all of their life savings during the last 10 days that they are there? We definitely need to make some changes in the way our health care is now being handled. We can control our own bodies. Getting old and sick used to be the norm for most people in our society, but it no longer has to be that way. We are at a point where we can take control of our own bodies. As we learn more about nutrition, we will come to the realization that what we put into our bodies has a great deal to do with how we feel and look and whether we are healthy or not. We will be more apt to reject manufacturers' advertising claims if we find that they are not valid. A whole program of healthcare education could be launched and supported by elders. If we could get organizations such as the American Association of Retired Persons, AARP, with their 30 million members to really support health care rather than illness care, we could make enormous positive changes. However, we cannot wait for them to get on the bandwagon. We need to learn everything we can about how to handle our own health care now. Until we can really teach the people that they are greatly responsible for their health and their dis-ease, there will be no point in living longer. I would like to help all people move into their later years vibrantly healthy. Fear is so limiting. I see so much fear among the elderly people. Fear of change, poverty, illness, senility, loneliness, and most of all, fear of death. I truly believe that all this fear is unnecessary. It is something we have been taught. It has been programmed into us. It is just a habitual thinking pattern, and it can be changed. Negative thinking is prevalent among so many people in their later years, and as a result, they live out their lives in discontent. It is crucial that we always keep in mind that what we think and say becomes our experiences. As such, we will pay attention to our thoughts and speaking patterns so that we may shape our lives in accordance with our dreams. We may say wistfully, "Oh, I wish I could have or would have, or that I could be or would be," but we don't seem to use the words and thoughts that can actually make those wishes a reality. Instead, we think every negative thought we know, and then wonder why our lives are not working in the way we would like. As I mentioned earlier, we all think about 60,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are the same thoughts we thought yesterday and the day before. To counteract this thinking rut, every morning I say to myself, I have a new understanding of life. I now think thoughts I have never thought before, new creative thoughts. Consequently, if you have fearful thoughts about change, you could say, I am at peace with the ever-changing patterns of life, and I am always safe. If you fear poverty, try, I am one with the universal power of abundance, and I am always provided for beyond my needs. For fear of illness, you might affirm, I am the embodiment of health and vitality, and I rejoice in my wellness. If you fear getting senile, you could say, I am one with universal wisdom and knowledge, and my mind is always sharp and clear. For loneliness, I am one with each and every person on this planet, and I give and receive love constantly. If you fear spending the last days of your life in a nursing home, state, I always live in my own home, happily taking care of myself. For fear of death, I welcome each stage of my life, knowing that leaving the planet is like opening a door to love and a glorious next experience. These statements are all ways of retraining your mind for a more joyous later life. If you affirm these statements whenever fearful thoughts arise, then in time these thoughts will become true for you. As they become your new truths, you will find that not only will your life change for the better, but your vision of the future will also change. It is a continual process of growth and transformation. Another wonderful affirmation is, I am independently healthy and wealthy. I want to help you create a conscious ideal of your later years, to help you realize that these can be the most rewarding years of your life. Know that your future is always bright, no matter what your age. See your later years becoming your treasure years. You can become an elder of excellence. Many of you are now moving into the ranks of the elders, and it is time to view life in a different way. You don't have to live your later years the way your parents did. You and I can create a new way of living. We can change all the rules. When we move forward into our future, knowing and using the treasures within, then only good lies before us. We can know and affirm that everything that happens to us is for our highest good and greatest joy, truly believing that we can't go wrong. Instead of just getting old and giving up and dying, let's make a huge contribution to life. We have the time, we have the knowledge, and we have the wisdom to move out into the world with love and power. Society is facing many challenges at this time, and there are many issues and problems of a global nature that require our attention. We want to reframe how we see the different stages of our life. Interestingly enough, there was a study done at a major university recently on middle age. The researchers discovered that at whatever age you believe is middle age, it is at that time that your body will begin the aging process. You see, the body accepts what the mind decides upon. So instead of accepting 45 or 50 as middle age, we could easily decide that 75 is the new middle age. The body will willingly accept that too. It is aging and life shortening to say, I don't have enough time. Instead, we want to say, I have more than enough time, space, and energy for what is important. Our lifespans have been lengthening since we were first created as a species. We used to live very short lives, first only till our mid-teens, then our 20s, then 30s, then 40s. And even at the turn of this century, it was considered old to be 50. In 1900, our life expectancy was 47 years. Now we are accepting 80 as a normal lifespan. Why can't we take a quantum leap in consciousness and make the new level of acceptance 120 or 150 years? Yes, of course we need to create the health, the wealth, the love, the compassion, and acceptance to go with this new span of life. When I talk about living to 120, most people exclaim, "Oh no, I don't want to be sick or poor for all those years." Why do our minds immediately go to limitation thinking? We do not have to equate age with poverty, sickness, loneliness, and death. If that is what we often see around us now, it is because that is what we have created from our past belief systems. We can always change our belief systems. We once believed the world was flat. Now that is no longer a truth for us. I know we can change what we think and accept as normal. We can live long lives that are healthy, loving, wealthy, wise, and joyous. Yes, we will need to change our current beliefs. We will need to change the ways we structure our society, our retirement issues, our insurance, our health care. But it can be done. I want to give you hope and inspire you to learn to heal yourselves, which will then allow us to heal society. It is time to restore elders to the top of the heap. As elders, we deserve esteem and honor. But first, we must develop self-esteem and self-worth. It is not something we have to earn. It is something we develop in our own consciousness. You have the power to alter your life so that you will not even recognize your old self. You can go from illness to health, from loneliness to love. You can go from poverty to security and fulfillment. You can go from guilt and shame to self-confidence and self-love. You can go from a feeling of worthlessness to feeling creative and powerful. You can make your later years a wonderful time. It is time for all of us to be all that we can be during our elder years. This is the future that I look forward to. Join me. Let's begin a movement called Elders of Excellence, so that as we move into our treasure years, we contribute more to society rather than less. When I first began my healing work, I concentrated on teaching people to love themselves, to drop resentment, to forgive, to release old limiting beliefs and patterns. This was wonderful, and as so many of you have attested to, you were able to improve the quality of your lives to a remarkable degree. This individual work is still extremely helpful and needs to continue until every person on this planet is living a life full of health, happiness, contentment, fulfillment, and love. Now it is also the time for us to take these ideas and apply them to society as a whole, to bring them into the mainstream, to help improve the quality of life for everyone. Our reward will be a peaceful, loving world where we, as elders, can leave our doors unlocked, walk freely around at night, and know that our neighbors are there to accept us, support us, and help us if necessary. We can change our belief systems, but in order to do so, we, as elders of excellence, need to get out of the victim mentality. As long as we see ourselves as being hapless, powerless individuals, as long as we depend on the government to fix things for us, we will never progress as a group. However, when we band together and come up with creative solutions for our later years, then we have real power and we can change our nation and our world for the better. I would like to say a few words to you baby boomers out there who are just now beginning to enter your 50s. How do you want to mature? How do you want America to mature? What we create for ourselves, we create for our country. We will have more people living long lives in the next few decades than ever before in history. Do we want to continue with the same old, same old? Or are we ready to take a quantum leap in consciousness and create a totally new way of living for those in their later years? We simply cannot wait for the government to change everything for us. Washington, D.C. has become a hotbed of special interests and greed. We need to look within instead and find our own treasures, our own wisdom, and then dispense it with love to all the rest of society. Baby boomers, pre-baby boomers, and post-baby boomers, I call upon all of you to join me in moving from the me generation to the we generation. It's funny, there's a group called the Young Presidents Organization, the YPOs, who represent youthful leaders in business and society. But most of them are overworked and are killing themselves because they do not take the time to go inside and get in touch with their inner wisdom. They have made their pile of money and now wonder, is this all there is? What they need to do to go from me to we is to turn themselves onto service to their community and to their country. Why? Because they are the ideal group to be leaders for elders of excellence. Each of us, including our current politicians, needs to take the time every day to sit in silence. If we don't take the time to go within and connect with our inner wisdom, we won't know the best decisions to make. It is almost an act of arrogance to assume responsibility for others and not take the time to go within and get in touch with the universal guidance. I foresee a world where leaders of excellence and elders of excellence can work together hand in hand to heal America. The leaders of excellence could easily have fathers and mothers that could be elders of excellence. We could all work together to discuss and implement plans to help our society function more productively. And this plan could work in business as well as in many other areas, healthcare, the arts, whatever your area of work, service. There is room to help out no matter what age you are. I so strongly feel that our elders have been treated like a throwaway society when actually our elders are the perfect guides to help rebuild our world. There was a time when elders were held in great esteem for their contributions and knowledge, but we have diminished their importance through our creation and worship of a youthful society. What a mistake. Youth is a wonderful thing, but the youths also grow into elders. We all need to look forward to comfortable, peaceful later years. As elders, we need to learn to play again, to have fun, to laugh, to be children if we want. We do not deserve to be thrown into a corner so we can wither and die, and we won't be treated that way unless we allow it. The elders must come back and participate fully in life and share what they know with the younger generation. People often say, "Oh, if I could only do it all over." Well, you can. By stepping out and taking a leadership role, by once again becoming a complete member of society, you can contribute to a new and better world. If you or a relative frequent a senior center, instead of talking about your dis-eases, talk about how you can band together and improve your corner of society. What can you do to make life better for everyone? No matter how small your contribution, it has meaning. If all elders contribute something, we can improve our country. By activating ourselves in all segments of society, we will see our wisdom trickling down to all levels, thereby transforming our country into a place of loving kindness. So I urge you, step forward, use your voice, get out in the world, and live. This is an opportunity for you to regain your power and create a legacy that you will be proud to pass on to your grandchildren and to their grandchildren. It is my desire to inspire and empower elders everywhere to contribute to our country's healing. Elders, you are the generation to turn things around. You are the people, you are the government. You are the ones who can make the changes, and your time is now. We must all stop following leaders who send us down the wrong path. We must stop believing that greed and selfishness will bring any permanent good into our lives. We must love ourselves first of all and have compassion for ourselves. Then we can share that love and compassion with everyone on the planet. This is our world, and we have the ability to turn it into a paradise. Planetary or global healing is a response to the awareness that what we experience in our world is a mirror for the energy patterns within us. An important part of any healing process is to acknowledge our connection and contribution to the whole of life, and to begin the process of projecting positive healing energy out into the world. This is a place where so many of us get stuck in our own energy, unaware of the healing power of giving and sharing. Healing is a continual process, so if we wait until we are healed to begin sharing love, we may never have the opportunity to do so. I don't have all the answers, but I urge you, those with the knowledge and the means to do so, please step forward and help heal this planet of ours. Our burdens tend to age us, but if each one of us does just a little bit, we can affect profound change. For example, there is a dentist in Los Angeles who began donating free services to the homeless. Can you imagine being homeless and having a root canal act up? This dentist has said, if every dentist in Los Angeles would give 1 free hour a week, all the homeless in the city could be taken care of. We often feel overwhelmed by our problems, but if we each gave but a fraction of our time to address the issues that affect us, many problems could be solved. Many elders are at an age where they have nothing to lose. They do not have jobs or homes to lose because they've achieved their financial security. Elders who have can help elders who do not have. I am sure that many of the wealthy elders in this country could be persuaded to part with some of their money if we showed them a way to be honored and admired by society. It is true that many of our current problems were created by these wealthy elders of my generation who were once on the forefront of corporate greed. They have seen the consequences of selfish money-grubbing behavior on the part of big business and certain individuals. But now there is a larger role for these people to play, a part in the healing of America. They can still be the bigwigs, but now they can do so as healers rather than abusers. They can easily donate a few million here and there to help make our society great again. I truly believe that as everyone takes a part in our country's healing process, we can grow younger instead of older. We can youthen. I know it is possible. It may take until the 3rd generation to attain youthening and have it be a normal and natural thing, but today's elders can be the pioneers and lead the way. Some new books are now being written on the youthening process. New Cells, New Bodies, New Lives by Virginia Essene gives us new ideas to think about. I know youthening can be done. It is just a matter of finding out how. The baby boomers who are approaching their 50s right now can think about how they would like to approach their later years and how they want to give service. The younger generations can change the way they look at the elders and make decisions about how they want to be when they get to that stage. Children at school are always asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" They are taught to plan for their future. We need to take the same attitude and plan for our later years. What do we want to be when we grow older? I want to be an elder of excellence, contributing to society in every way I can. Maggie Kuhn, head of the activist group the Gray Panthers, recently said, "I want to die in an airport, briefcase in hand, just finishing a job well done." I knew I was getting old when people stopped telling me I had my whole life ahead of me. Well, you do have your whole life ahead of you. What else are you going to prepare for? Your whole death? Of course not. Now is the time to live it up, to acknowledge your self-worth, to take pride in the title Elders of Excellence. I honor all of us who have the courage to move forward with the ideas I've presented here. Yes, there might. The other thing is that when we first begin to do this sort of work and we start to release our old patterns, all that negative junk that's been on our consciousness for so long, we often do what I call stir up the pot, which means that for a while things will get worse before they get better. It's like bringing all the junk up. I remember myself, for one instance, when I first began to meditate, I had violent headaches for 3 weeks. And I didn't know what was going on then, but I realize now that the idea of sitting quietly and going within was so foreign to my belief system that when I did it to begin with, my nervous system just went crazy. But as I stuck with it and I kept meditating and going through the headaches, in about 3 weeks they went away. My body and my nervous system adapted. So sometimes, if things seem to be worse for the moment, again, if you go into all is well, everything's working out for my highest good, out of this experience only good will come and I am safe, you'll move through it a lot faster. A lot faster. We want to begin to trust the process of life. And as we use the treasures within us, we will develop self-worth, self-love, and self-esteem. I'm very, very pleased to see that wherever I go on this planet, consciousness development, as many people call it, is happening. For my own books, they're now in 23 different languages in 30 countries. And that's just my books. Everywhere I go, there are large groups of people, not that are just beginning, but people who are on the pathway. We are learning a different way of handling life. See, people are searching for answers now. In the Piscean age, we used to look outside of ourselves and say, "Save me, save me, save me, help me." But now that we're entering the Aquarian age, we are beginning to learn that the answers are within us. And there's nobody out there to go to. We come within. And I see that self-help groups are becoming the new social norm. They're starting everywhere. AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, were the first ones. But now we're getting to the point where there's groups for almost everything. And it's wonderful, because what it means to me is that people with a common problem are getting together looking for answers. If you get together in a group and all you do is play Ain't It Awful, you're not going to get anywhere. Everybody just goes down. But if you get together as a group with an issue and you work for solutions, then all your lives can change. And I think this is wonderful. There are new levels of spirituality that are literally connecting us all. There were times, when religions used to keep us apart, and they still do in many places. I'm a highly spiritual person, but I'm not really a religious person, because religion to me is often like an organized business. And sometimes we need to go beyond that. The levels of spirituality that are happening on the planet are connecting people. Whereas a religion will often tell you who you can love and who you can hate. So sometimes we need to rise beyond that. But remember, every time you think a thought or speak a word or do a deed, you are connecting with like-minded people all over the planet. And who do we want to connect with? Do we want to connect with hatred and prejudice and war? Or do we want to connect with love and healing? When you meditate, you are connecting with everyone on the planet that's meditating. And remember, meditation doesn't have to be a woo-woo thing. It's really just a form of getting quiet and going within and connecting with your wisdom, that wisdom that is always within you. What we're thinking on a moment-to-moment basis is very powerful. And we want to create a very rich inner space so that our thoughts can be our own best friends. And as I said, we think 60,000 thoughts a day. And so many of them are the same thoughts we had the day before and the day before and the day before. You might wake up every morning and just say, today I will think some new thoughts, some different thoughts, some creative thoughts. I will expand my understanding of life. Think of new ways to do old things. You know, we want to develop a good, strong philosophy of life, one that supports us in every way. And the one that I've developed, the basic philosophy, helps me to understand life. And I believe that what we give out, we get back. What we give out in consciousness comes back to us. What we give out in beliefs and actions also. So if we want life to treat us well, then we have to treat life and other people well. And we can't believe in lack of limitation. We must move to the palace of possibilities. What we believe about ourselves and about life becomes true for us. Life is a mirror of where we are in consciousness. And if you just look around yourself in your life, at your friends, at where you live, at your finances, at your creativity or lack of it, you know where you are in consciousness and what you believe. But you can change that. See, life never judges us. Life totally supports whatever we choose to believe about self and about life. But when we change our thinking, then life responds in a different way. Our thoughts are enormously creative, extremely creative. And I do believe that we are all responsible for our experiences. We contribute to our experiences by our consciousness and our thoughts and our beliefs. And it isn't as though we run around saying, oh, I want to have this dis-ease or I want to be poor. But the belief systems that we have within us attract to us certain experiences. And as we change those, our experiences change. The point of power is always in the present moment. What you're experiencing now has been created by your past belief systems, but what you're choosing to think and believe right here and right now in this moment is going to create tomorrow, next week, and next month. I think that everybody on this planet suffers from self-hatred and guilt to one degree or another. And the more we can eliminate it, the better our life is. It's like this underlying belief for so many people is, I'm not good enough. And I know that even for myself, it still comes up periodically. But when it does now, I recognize it. I recognize it and I realize it's that little girl. Something has happened that is touching the little girl in me, and she's reacting with, oh, I'm not good enough, or I won't be good enough. So I know how to talk to her now, to explain to her that that's an old belief and she doesn't have to operate under it anymore. Remember, even self-hatred is only hating a thought you have about yourself. So no matter what the belief system is, it is a thought, and the thought can be changed. I know that we really are worth loving. We're particularly worth self-love and self-respect and self-esteem. The self-approval and self-acceptance are one of the most powerful keys for healing and positive changes. When we really love and cherish ourselves, almost everything in our lives works. I think resentment and criticism and guilt are some of the most damaging thought patterns we can have, because they only bring to us very unpleasant experiences. And in order to release them, we really want to forgive and release the past. Now, forgiveness is a big one for everybody. We all have that. But I know that whenever I come across somebody who has tremendous difficulty in loving themselves, it is because they have not forgiven. Because the door to the heart opens inward. And until we forgive, we cannot get that self-love going in the way that we really want to. Love is one of the most powerful healing forces there is. And even if we don't know how, we can be willing to learn to love ourselves. The universe will respond to every thought we think. And if we say, I am willing to begin whatever, you'll find that ways will open before you. Now, I'm always saying, love yourself and love yourself. And people say to me, well, Louise, how do you love yourself? And I have some thoughts on that. First, absolute number one, most important, please stop criticizing yourself. Stop it. Stop criticizing yourself and life. It was one of the worst things you can do. It stifles living, and it never works. Criticism never works. What you've been criticizing yourself for years, you're still doing. You're still doing. Another thing is, don't scare yourself. Stop terrorizing yourself with your own thoughts. How many people here terrorize themselves with their own thoughts? Don't do it. Stop it. Stop it. It's not a loving act. Catch yourself. Find another direction. Now, I'm not saying that everybody doesn't do it. I find myself sometimes going, and I'm on this trip, and I go, oh, wait a minute. I say, Louise, you don't have to think those thoughts. You do not have to think those thoughts. And then I think about either my garden or my animals or something that gives me pleasure. I consciously change the thinking, and if you keep doing it, you'll find that you will less and less go back to those terrorizing thoughts. Be gentle and kind and patient with yourself. We are so good at beating ourselves up. We get the whip out and we chastise ourselves and we tell ourselves how awful we are. But that doesn't accomplish anything. And especially, people get on what I call the spiritual pathway, and then they start beating themselves up because they're not doing it fast enough or quick enough or good enough. Stop it. You're learning something new. Just be patient. Be kind to your mind. Don't hate your thoughts. Just gently change them. You can say to yourself, and to begin with, you may have to say it many, many times, no, I don't want to think that anymore. I'm not going to think that. I'm not going to think that. But your mind will get it. Remember, it's retraining. It's retraining your mind. Praise yourself. Praise yourself a lot. Praise yourself and others. Just as criticism breaks down the inner spirit, praise builds it up. Gratitude, appreciation for yourself and for others. Most important. Support yourself. Find ways to support yourself, either with friends or with groups. Reach out to people and say, I need help. I'm learning a new thing. Get some support. Support groups, self-help groups are great. Now, be loving to your negative. And by that I mean, every negative habit that you have, you created to fulfill a reason, to fulfill a need. And when you learn to build your self-worth and your self-esteem up, you probably won't need those things, and they will automatically disappear. And then you can also go, I'm willing to let this go, Just keep saying that. I'm willing to let it go. And the universe will find a way. But don't beat yourself up because you're doing something that you think it would be better that you didn't do. Take care of your body. If we're going to be living to 120 and 150, we better get it together now. Now. Learn about what foods give you good energy and what foods make you go to sleep an hour later. And go for the things that give you good energy. And for goodness sakes, do some exercise. We want to be flexible and running and moving and dancing till the last day. And you're worth it. You're worth the changes. There are people who will say, oh, I'd rather die than change my diet. And they do. It's choice, isn't it? Mirror work. Do some mirror work. It is so powerful. It'll move you through your stuff much faster than anything. First thing in the morning, get up and go to that bathroom mirror and say, I love you. What can I do for you today to make you happy? And listen. And listen. Last thing at night, I love you. Thank you for a great day. Or I love you and we got through it. Mirrors are very powerful. If something terrible happens in your life, I would suggest you immediately run to a mirror and look in your eyes and say, I love you. I really love you. Because this is what's important. The experience will pass, but the love that you strengthen within yourself will be with you forever. And if something great happens, go to the mirror and say thank you. Acknowledge yourself for having created something wonderful in your life. We do so much beating up, but not enough praising. And above all, do it now. Do it right now. Don't wait. Even if you love yourself only this much more, quarter of an inch more today than you did yesterday, and you can do that every day, it won't be long until it'll be this much. Just the little things are great. Now, I have a few beliefs that I operate on that really work well for me. And one is, I am always safe and divinely protected. I really believe that. It's one of my affirmations, one of my personal laws, as I call it. I live on a golf course, and yes, we do get golf balls into the yard. But I know that I and the house are divinely protected. And about a month ago, I was having lunch outside on a table, and when I got through with lunch, I was going to sit there for a while because it was so pretty, and something just said, get up and go over here, and I got like 4 steps on the table, and it was hit by a golf ball. And I looked around, and I said, I'm divinely protected. I knew it. I knew it. And, I feel that way. Now, on the other hand, I had somebody come and visit me who does not believe in any of this shit. He drove up in the driveway, got out of his van, and a golf ball broke his windshield. He was not divinely protected. I also believe everything I need to know is revealed to me. And everything I need comes to me in the perfect time-space sequence. What I need will be here. I don't have to worry about it. I know that life is a joy and filled with love. And I know that I am loving and loved. One of the marvelous things about the work I do is that almost everywhere I go, where they know me, I'm greeted with love. And it's like people, think they're my friends because they've been listening to me on tapes or whatever for so long. So it's a wonderful experience. I know that I am vibrantly healthy. That's one of my personal laws. And I know that I prosper wherever I turn. I, who came from an extraordinarily poor background. We had absolutely no money at all. There was a neighbor who used to give me 10 cents every week, and it went into the household budget, because in those days you could buy a loaf of bread with it. And on Christmas and New Year's she would give me $1, and my mother would go off to Woolworths and get my underwear and socks for the year. But I have learned to change my consciousness so that it has become true that I prosper wherever I turn. And I also know that I'm willing to change and to grow. I don't believe I know it all. I'm willing to see a limitation of mine. I see that as a gift, because if I don't see it, how can I change it? And I'm willing to grow. And I know that all is well in my world. Now, I don't know exactly what life has in store for me and which direction I'm going. But I know that with this belief system, whatever happens, I will be safe and divinely protected. What I know will be revealed to me. What I need will come to me. Life will be a joy and filled with love. I will be healthy. I will prosper. And I will change and grow, and all will be well in my world. And I suggest that all of you make up a set of personal laws for yourself. What you would like to live under. Because as you get those very firmly in your consciousness, they will become true for you. I repeat these often to myself. Often. Create a safe universe for yourself. Because the only power that could harm your body or your environment is the power of your own thoughts and beliefs. And these are changeable. Now, you know, to change beliefs, we often do affirmations. But what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that every thought we think and every word we speak is an affirmation. It is an affirmation. Your whole life is consisted of doing affirmations. But when we talk about doing affirmations, what we mean is that we are going to consciously make changes in our consciousness. We are going to reprogram our consciousness. We will do affirmations by taking conscious control of our thinking. Remember, we think 60,000 thoughts a day. So you have 60,000 chances to do a positive affirmation every day. I used to say do 500 affirmations a day, but now I realize we need to do a lot more than that. I have come to the point where I literally think 95% of the time in positive affirmations. And it's made an enormous difference in my life. We want to expand the horizons of our thinking and go beyond the neighbors and go beyond newspapers. God, if you read every single thing in a newspaper every day, you are going to be a frightened person. You cannot help it. All they do is fill you with fear. So you may go beyond the neighbors, you may get new friends. You will definitely find that there are new ways to do things. Don't let people tell you that it's the only way. Virginia Sadir did a study on dishwashing, and she discovered that there were over 250 different ways to wash dishes, depending on who was doing it and the equipment being used. Now, if there are over 250 different ways to wash dishes, which we all think of as so simple, there must be infinite ways to do other things. So don't let anybody tell you that there's only one way to do something, because then you are living in limitation. See, people who know it all can't learn anything new. They won't let the new in, and they're stuck, and they're frightened, and they're into control. See, sometimes the reason we don't have something that we say we want is because we won't let anything new in. We won't let anybody teach us anything new. And remember, listen to the winners, not the losers. Don't let a loser ever give you advice. I saw a wonderful play the other night. It was absolutely fabulous, called Dealer's Choice. And it was a play about losers. Losers who had no idea of how to get out of their pattern. And I thought, they'll probably be that way for the rest of their life because they will not let something new in. However, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Always. Do you remember how you got your first inkling? When you were ready and something happened. I don't know, maybe a neighbor said something, maybe you saw a book, maybe you did this, read something, a tape. Who knows? Something happened. Somebody told me once they moved into an empty apartment and the only thing in it was my little blue book. We want to go beyond the experts, to go from the external authorities to the internal authorities, to the treasures within, that treasure house within you. So life is change and we want to flow with it, because if we don't, we get left behind. Do we want to be women of power? Do we want to be elders of excellence? Or do we want just the same old, same old? See, we don't want to make the negative a permanent thing in our life. Life is not about continually reliving your past, good or bad. Remember, stress is supposed to be a fleeting condition, not something that you live with all the time. When we relax, we will always know what to do. If you stand in a hole, your options are very, very limited. The door to our hearts opens inwards. And we need to relax and trust life before we can solve our problems. We think it's the opposite. We think, oh, if I could just solve my problems, then I could relax. But that's not true. When the problem comes up, remember to go to your internal babble, as I call it. All is well. Everything's working out for my highest good. Out of this only good will come, and I am safe. That's what you want to know, that you're safe in every single situation. So let's begin to heal the world that we live in. We start with ourselves, and it ripples out. Don't rush home and tell your neighbors or your family what to do. It's not going to be appreciated, and they won't listen anyway. Take the ideas that you can take and work with them. Make your own changes, because today is another day of opportunity. And we've come to expand our consciousness, to let new ideas in. 101 power thoughts for life. The thoughts we think and the words we speak are constantly shaping our world and our experiences. Many of us are in an old habit of negative thinking and do not realize the damage we have inflicted upon ourselves. However, we are never stuck, because we can always change our thinking. As we learn to consistently choose positive thoughts, the old negative ones dissolve away. So, as you listen to the following power thoughts, let the affirmations and ideas wash over your consciousness. Your subconscious mind will pick up the ones that are important to you at the moment. These concepts are like fertilizing the soil of your mind. As you absorb them by repetition, you are slowly enriching the very basis of your garden of life. Anything you plant will grow abundantly. I see you vibrant and healthy, surrounded by exquisite beauty, living a life of love and prosperity, filled with joy and laughter. You are on a wonderful pathway of change and growth. Enjoy your trip. My healing is already in process. Your body knows how to heal itself. Get the negative garbage out of the way, then love your body. Feed it nourishing foods and beverages. Pamper it, respect it. Create an atmosphere of wellness. Allow yourself to heal. My willingness to forgive begins my healing process. I allow the love from my own heart to wash through me, cleansing and healing every part of my body. I know I am worth healing. I trust my inner wisdom. There is a place within each of us that is totally connected with the infinite wisdom of the universe. In this place lie all the answers to all the questions you will ever ask. Learn to trust your inner self. As I go about my daily affairs, I listen to my own guidance. My intuition is always on my side. I trust it to be there at all times. I am safe. I am willing to forgive. If we sit in a prison of self-righteous resentment, we cannot be free. Even if we don't know exactly how to forgive, we can be willing to forgive. The universe will respond to our willingness and help us find the way. Forgiveness of myself and of others releases me from the past. Forgiveness is the answer to almost every problem. Forgiveness is a gift to myself. I forgive and I set myself free. I am deeply fulfilled by all that I do. We will never have the opportunity to live this day again, so we want to savor every moment. There is richness and fullness in everything we do. Each moment of the day is special to me as I follow my higher instincts and listen to my heart. I am at peace in my world and affairs. I trust the process of life. We are learning how life works. It's like learning your computer. When you first get a computer, you learn the simple, basic processes, how to turn it on and off, and how to open and save a document, how to print. And on that level, your computer works wonders for you. And yet, there is so much more that it can do for you when you learn more of its ways. It's the same thing with life. The more we learn how it works, the more wonders it performs for us. There is a rhythm and flow to life, and I am part of it. Life supports me and brings me only good and positive experiences. I trust the process of life to bring me my highest good. I have the perfect living space. Our living space is always an outpicturing of our current state of consciousness. If we hate where we live now, then no matter where we move, we will end up hating that too. Bless your current abode with love. Thank it for providing for your needs. Say that you are moving on and that wonderful new people are moving in to take your place. Leave love when you move, and you will feel love in the new place. Before I found my current home, I decided that I wanted to buy a house from people who were in love. Of course, that is exactly what I found. My home is filled with the vibration of love. I see myself living in a wonderful place. It fulfills all my needs and desires. It is in a beautiful location, and it is at a price I can easily afford. I can release the past and forgive everyone. We may not want to let go of old hurts, but holding on to them keeps us stuck. When I let go of the past, my present moment becomes richer and fuller. I free myself and everyone in my life from old past hurts, and I am free to move into new, glorious experiences. The point of power is always in the present moment. No matter how long you've had a problem, you can begin to change in this moment. For as you change your thinking, your life also changes. The past is over and done and has no power over me. I can begin to be free in this moment. Today's thoughts create my future. I am in charge. I now take my own power back. I am safe and I am free. I am safe. It's only change. What we believe becomes true for us. The more we trust life, the more life is there for us. I cross all bridges with joy and ease. The old unfolds into wonderful new experiences. My life gets better all the time. I am willing to change. We all want life to change and other people to change, but nothing in our world will change until we are willing to make changes in ourselves. We often cling so tightly to habits and beliefs that no longer serve us in a positive way. I am willing to release old negative beliefs. They are only thoughts that stand in my way. My new thoughts are positive and fulfilling. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. The most frightening scenarios we can conceive of are only thoughts. We can easily refuse to scare ourselves in this way. You want your thoughts to be your best friends, thoughts that shape your world in a positive way, comforting thoughts, loving thoughts, friendly thoughts, laughing thoughts, thoughts of wisdom and upliftment. I am not limited by any past thinking. I choose my thoughts with care. I constantly have new insights and new ways of looking at my world. I am willing to change and to grow. Every thought I think is creating my future. I am constantly aware of my thoughts. I am like a shepherd with a flock of sheep, and if one goes astray, I lovingly herd it back in line. If I notice an unloving, unkind thought going astray, I quickly and consciously replace it with a kind and loving one. The universe is always listening and responding to my thinking process. I keep the line as clean and clear as I can. The universe totally supports every thought I choose to think and to believe. I have unlimited choices about what I can think. I choose balance, harmony, and peace, and I express it in my life. There is no blame. If we walk a mile in someone else's shoes, then we understand why they behave the way that they do. We were all born beautiful little babies, totally open and trusting of life, with lots of self-worth and self-esteem. If we are not that way now, then somewhere along the line, someone taught us otherwise. We can unlearn the negativity. I release the need to blame anyone, including myself. We are all doing the best we can with the understanding, knowledge, and awareness that we have. I let go of all expectations. If we don't have specific expectations, then we cannot be disappointed. But if we love ourselves and know that only good lies before us, then it doesn't matter what comes up, because it will be fulfilling. I flow freely and lovingly with life. I love myself. I know that only good awaits me at every turn. I see clearly. The unwillingness to see certain aspects of our lives can cloud our vision. This unwillingness to see is often a form of protection. Optometrists do little to cure eye problems. They only prescribe stronger and stronger glasses. Poor nutrition can also contribute to poor eyesight. I release all the things from my past that cloud my vision. I see the perfection in all of life. I willingly forgive. I breathe love into my vision, and I see with compassion and understanding. My clear insight is reflected in my outer sight. I am safe in the universe, and all life loves and supports me. I carry this affirmation in my wallet. Whenever I reach for money, I see I am safe in the universe, and all life loves and supports me. It is a good reminder of what is really important in my life. I breathe in the fullness and richness of life. I observe with joy as life abundantly supports me and supplies me with more good than I can imagine. My life is a mirror. Every person in my life is a reflection of some part of me. The people I love reflect the loving aspects of myself. The people I dislike reflect those parts of myself that need healing. Every experience in life is an opportunity for growth and healing. The people in my life are really mirrors of me. This affords me the opportunity to grow and to change. I balance my masculine and feminine sides. We all contain masculine and feminine aspects. When these two sides are in balance, then we are whole and complete. The totally macho man is not in touch with the intuitive side of himself, and a weak, wispy feminine woman is not expressing the strong, intelligent side of herself. We all need both sides. The masculine and feminine parts of me are in perfect balance and harmony. I am at peace, and all is well. Freedom is my divine right. We are put on this planet with total freedom, and we make these choices in our minds. No person, place, or thing can think for us if we do not allow it. We are the only person who thinks in our mind. In our minds, we have total freedom. What we choose to think and believe can change our current circumstances beyond recognition. I am free to think wonderful thoughts. I move beyond past limitations into freedom. I am now becoming all that I am created to be. I release all fears and doubts. Fears and doubts are only delay mechanisms that keep us from having the good we say we want in our lives. So let them go. I now choose to free myself from all destructive fears and doubts. I accept myself and create peace in my mind and heart. I am loved and I am safe. Divine wisdom guides me. Too many of us are unaware that we have within us an inner wisdom that is always on our side. We don't pay attention to our intuition, and then we wonder why life does not work well. Learn to listen to your inner voice. You do know exactly what to do. I am guided throughout this day in making right choices. Divine intelligence continuously guides me in the realization of my goals, and I am safe. I love life. Every morning when I wake up, I get to experience another great day, a day I've never lived before. It will have its own special experiences, and I'm glad to be alive. It is my birthright to live fully and freely. I give to life exactly what I want life to give to me. I am glad to be alive. I love life. I love my body. I'm so delighted to live in my wonderful body. It has been given to me to use for the rest of my life, and I cherish it and take loving care of it. My body is precious to me. I love every inch of it, inside and out, that which I see and that which I don't see, every organ and gland, every muscle and bone, every single cell. My body responds to this loving attention by giving me vibrant health and aliveness. I create peacefulness in my mind, and my body reflects this peacefulness as perfect health. I turn every experience into an opportunity. When I experience a problem, and we all have them, I immediately say, out of this situation only good will come. This is easily resolved for the highest good of all concerned. All is well, and I am safe. I repeat this statement over and over. It keeps me calm and allows the universe to find the best solution. I am often amazed to see how quickly the issue can be resolved in a way that benefits everyone. Each problem has a solution. All experiences are opportunities for me to learn and grow, and I am safe. I am at peace. Deep at the center of my being there is an infinite well of peace, like a mountain lake, deep and serene. No person, place, or outer chaos can touch me when I am in this space. In this space I am calm. I think clearly, I receive divine ideas, and I am so peaceful. Divine peace and harmony surround me and dwell in me. I feel tolerance, compassion, and love for all people, myself included. I am flexible and flowing. Life is a series of changes. Those of us who are rigid and inflexible in our thinking often snap when the winds of change blow. But those of us who are like willow trees bend easily and adapt to the new changes. If we refuse to change, then life passes us by and we get left behind. Just as a flexible body is more comfortable to be in, so is a flexible mind more comfortable to live in. I am open to the new and changing. Every moment presents a wonderful new opportunity to become more of who I am. I flow with life easily and effortlessly. I now go beyond other people's fears and limitations. I am not my mother's fears and limitations, nor am I my father's fears and limitations. I'm not even my own fears and limitations. These are only false thoughts that have been hanging around in my mind. I can erase them as easily as I can clean a dirty window. When the window of my mind is clean, I can see clearly the negative thoughts for what they are, and I can choose to eliminate them. It is my mind that creates my experiences. I am unlimited in my own ability to create the good in my life. I am worth loving. So many of us were taught conditional love. Therefore, we believe that we need to earn love. We feel that we are not lovable if we don't have a great job or a good relationship or a body like a model. This is nonsense. We do not have to earn the right to breathe. It is God-given because we exist. So, too, is the right to love and be loved. The fact that we exist means that we are worth loving.